The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation.
The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
The top talents in the comic book business are here to tell everything they know.
That is 2 weeks in a row now. That's OBS and technology has given me problems, as I was just doing our intro where I was talking about how great technology is and everything.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 114 of the Industry of Comics show. And you know, sometimes you just got to get with it and just move forward. And that's what we're doing tonight. We have a great show tonight. Two great pioneers of the comic book industry. We love talking to people that shape this industry and that also are very forward-looking and willing to be, you know, further pioneers in this industry. We have Brian Haberlin joining us on the second half of this episode. But first tonight, ladies and gentlemen, definitely a pioneer in the industry tonight. Somebody who's been there through a lot of the history of the comic market, very influential in shaping that the industry and the comic market. Being there early on and pioneering retailer ordering systems and advanced solicitation models that are still used today. And he lived through the rise of the comic shop. He watched the speculator bubble explode in the 90s and saw Marvel self-distribute and lived through the Diamond era power, where they were consolidating power, to now where Diamond is bankrupt and no longer here. And he's still reporting on that every week, every day, as we used a lot of his information in his webpage in our reports on the Diamond bankruptcy. Ladies and gentlemen, Milton Griepp from ICv2 joins us for the second time. Milton, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah. And again, thanks for having me.
Oh boy, that is live YouTube. Sometimes it can cause problems, right? I want to talk a little about, first and foremost, about ICv2. You know, we brought that up and how important it is, your reporting on the industry, and how you know, web pages about reporting on the industry and industry news there's only a few left, it feels like, that are pretty good at it still, or that we feel like we utilize the most. I think right now, to me, it's your web page, obviously still Bleeding Cool, Heidi over at Comics Beat. What are your thoughts on the current you know, landscape for industry news on the web?
One other I'd throw out there is Graphic Policy. I think his reporting's been getting better. I think he did a really nice job on the bankruptcy reporting. So I'd throw his name in there too. I think it's a very tough business, especially on the consumer side. We're B2B, so we're a little different because the advertising rates are higher. People that live on consumer CPMs, it's just a really tough business. And the social media platforms are sucking up a lot of the ad dollars, so that makes it tough for websites to gain advertising. So we very much appreciate our advertisers and the people that subscribe to our pro site, which has kept us going this long for around 25 years.
Yeah, it's unreal. You guys report on every facet, every part of the industry. And here's Graphic Policy, by the way. I have added them to my list of places to go. I always love finding those new websites. Thank you for that. But yeah, here's the webpage. If you guys don't know, I dropped the link in the chat. You should know what ICv2 is. And I remember I was talking, I think it might have been in San Diego last year, maybe I think it was last year. We had just had Bruce Ogilvie on the channel from Alliance Entertainment. He had come on to talk about their thoughts on maybe purchasing Diamond through the bankruptcy, and that they kind of had. It was very interesting how that whole thing has played out. We've all watched that craziness go. But I was talking to somebody at San Diego and mentioning everything going on, and I had brought up ICv2, and he said, do you know the story about the name of ICv2? And I said no, and he told me about it, and I thought it was fascinating. And this brought me down a rabbit hole of looking into you, Milton. Can you give a quick story of how the name of ICv2 and where it comes from?
So I was in distribution for 20 years, and for 16 of those years, I ran a company called Capital City Distribution, which at sometimes was the biggest comic distributor, biggest direct distributor, other times second biggest. We sold out to Diamond in '96. But during that time, we started a magazine for retailers to carry the news and to let retailers know what was going on, try to give them some data on how things were selling and what the hot products were and what was coming out next. And that was called Internal Correspondence. So after we sold Capital City, I did some work with a .com, an e-commerce.com based in San Francisco. And so we had like 2 wild years, raised a bunch of money. Couldn't raise the next round after the stock market, the .com bubble burst. And so sold the bones. And after that, I thought that whole internet thing might catch on. So I came back to Wisconsin and started ICv2, which stands for Internal Correspondence Version 2. And we do still publish a magazine once a year called the Internal Correspondence Annual. So there is still a print incarnation, but we're almost entirely online these days.
I love that. I think that's super cool, and it gives us a nice little segue, as we call it over here, into your history, and very influential with the capital city and the direct market and everything. But I want to know about you getting into comics first. What was your introduction into comic books?
So I grew up in northern Wisconsin, up near Green Bay, close enough so that they showed Packer highlights films during gym class.
Mm-hmm.
And I came down to Madison, Wisconsin, where I live now, to go to the University of Wisconsin with a very good friend of mine who, even in high school, and this was, we came down here in 1971. And I don't even remember I think the Buyer's Guide maybe was just starting. And one of the ways he was putting himself through college was he'd ran ads in the little shopper papers up north and buy collections. And then we'd take him down to, there was a week or a monthly show in Chicago. I think Joe Sarno might have run it at the YWCA. It had like 10 or 15 tables. And we'd take those comics down there and sell them. And he would, I had a car. And so I would drive and he'd have me help him work the table. And so we did those. And then sometime around there, I think around 73, we went to a Berkeley Comic-Con convention, which was really wild, but that was an incredible trip. So that sort of exposed us to the bigger world of comic conventions, which were just starting. I mean, the New York Con was going on then, the old Phil Suling show. So there were a few shows around the country, but they were pretty rare. So I got involved helping him with conventions. And then I was driving forklift at Swiss Colony, which is like a gift box company.
Yeah.
At college. And one of my coworkers was working at this hippie co-op called Wisconsin Independent News Distributors, which distributed underground comics and magazines like National Lampoon and High Times and Rolling Stone and Mother Earth News. And they were about to add color comics, and he knew I was doing some of this convention stuff, so they hired me to run their color comics section. So I worked there for a couple of years until they went out of business. That business got taken over by a company called Big Rapids Distribution Company, which is a very early direct comic distributor. Was the largest in the country for, I don't know, probably under a year, but they were the largest in the country for a while. So my Capital City, I hired my what became my partner at Capital City, John Davis, at Wind. He came with me to Big Rapids. and we worked there. And then when Big Rapids went out of business, we started Capital City Distribution in 1980.
Wow. That's awesome. That's crazy. We hear about Capital City talked about on the show quite often. So that's pretty cool to hear that. It's kind of they're the start of the direct market, which is such a big part of comics today. It's the only part of comics today, I feel like, and obviously. And what are your thoughts on the direct market today after being there and help shaping it with Capital City? I think we should just kind of get right into that with what the direct market looks like today and your thoughts on it.
Well, the beginning was kind of the Wild West because, it was used bookstores, stores that were just adding comics. There were very few standalone comic stores. And that whole phenomenon really exploded during the 80s. And when I started, probably 90% of comics were sold through newsstand type outlets. So that would be transit terminals, bus stations, grocery stores, drug stores, newsstands. And so as you know, I'm sure Phil Suling talked the publishers into starting to sell to comic store distributors. And so that paved the way for companies like Capital City. And so over the last, 45 years since we started Capital City, I'd say the big changes are the maturation of the retailer base. Retailers are very good now. They're, they use a lot of data to run their businesses. Their appearance of the stores is very professional. So the maturation of the retailer base has been, very impressive to watch. And higher profile locations, they were, in the worst locations in the city, when they started because they couldn't afford rent. And now, you're seeing mall stores and stores in the most visible locations. So that's all been a really positive change. I think the change in the editorial material has made it difficult for periodical comics to have the share of the comic business that they had 40 years ago, and graphic novels have really taken over as the most popular format. And so that's a big change, and that has made competition for comic stores in the form of bookstores and book channel outlets, including online like Amazon. So that's changed the business a lot in terms of the total scope of the comics business. But the comic store where periodicals are sold is where those stories start and where those initial communities of fans and readers are formed. So still very important in the overall industry. And so that's been fun to watch.
I want to ask you a question on the comic book stores of the 80s, especially the late 70s when they really started opening up. Do you think because of the age demographic 12 to 25 during that age that the location was more, hey, I got to be close to a school, or now the age demographic is 45 to 65, so you got to be more accessible in a mall or outside of a mall? Does that make a difference?
Well, I think there's still comic stores in college towns and places close to campuses, and I think especially in the last few years, there's been a new cohort of young readers coming into comic stores. The whole time in Capital City, we called our target demo 15 to 25-year-old males. There was almost no material that was directed at female readers, and superheroes at the time were pretty much all directed at male readers. So 15 to 25-year-old males was our audience. I don't know if I would have gone as young as 12 because there certainly were younger readers, but it was really a teen and young adult male market. And but I really think the price and the rent was what was driving location as much as anything during that period, because comics were such a new business and it was so small to start with that retailers, I think, were really focusing on, what's the place where I can get the best square foot rate.
Sure.
Yeah. So looking back, do you see a time where the direct market and the retailer comic shop landscape was at its healthiest? Do you think it's now? Do you think it was, in the past?
Well, the early 90s were really a boom period for comic stores. And, there were estimates that the comic market might have been as much as $1 billion a year in that era. So that was a very healthy period until what happened. You know, the excesses of the death of Superman and then the bringing him back, that really hurt the market. There was just a glut of titles, a lot of which were really crappy. I was going through part of my collection recently. I came across some of those middle 90s Marvels. Those are like the ugliest comics I've ever seen. I mean, you could look at 50 of them and not find a single one you could crack the cover of. They're just awful. Yep. So the editorial material was crap. And so then there was a real dark period in the late 90s. And you know, things started to turn around in the aughts, and I think things are now at probably the highest point they've been since then. I would say last 2 years have really changed the big trends. For like the 15 years prior to the last 2 years, comic store sales were barely keeping up with inflation and may have even been trailing it. So that was not a great period. This is at the same time as bookstores were booming. So there were plenty of people reading comic media, the comic medium. They just weren't buying them at comic stores. And so that was a negative. And I've been really happy to see that trend reverse the last couple of years. And frankly, I was surprised. I thought it was a done deal.
Yeah. I feel like both in comic stores, and I this is a question for everybody on the panel. I feel like now more than ever, comic stores have to rely on other things like TCG, you know, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, other collectibles, even going into like vinyls and stuff. And we talk about that a lot here on the channel with brick and mortar stores. Do you think that is the current norm, or you know, one of the questions for tonight's show is it like a shifting industry, or is it the same old thing? Has that always been comic stores? You know, where it's always had that where it's multiple different, it's, you know, they're collectible stores. And that's Milton. I'd love to hear your opinion first, but the rest of the guys as well.
I think things changed a lot in 1989, which was the year of the first Batman movie. And Batman merchandise just went nuts. There were a couple of key events that year. I remember one was seeing a dancer on Soul Train wearing a Batman t-shirt.
Yep.
And another one was Jack Nicholson wearing Batman sneakers to Lakers games. So all of a sudden, you know, mass media was starting to show comic merch. And that movie was the first superhero movie that was really so heavily merchandised. I mean, at Capital City, we were getting in trailer loads of merch of all kinds. We published a whole catalog of Batman merch. That really changed the business in terms of licensed merchandise, and that has persisted. Licensed merchandise is still a part of the business, and I think you know, comic stores were early to jump on that stuff, but these days they're competing with mass merchants and specialty retailers that are not comic stores for some of that sales. So they have to kind of find the niche stuff, the higher end statues, that kind of stuff that is a little harder to find at mass. So I think the merch started early, continues now. The big change in the last 5 or 10 years has been the expansion of games in comic stores. There's a lot more hybrid stores that are selling both games and comics than ever before. And this year, in the last couple of years, that's accelerated because TCGs are so crazy hot that a lot of comic stores have put in little TCG sections. So we'll see if that continues after the TCG thing bursts. But for now, there's definitely a lot more hybrid stores than there used to be. I think that makes for healthier stores. One of the things with starting starting ICv2 was we covered both comics and games and some merch. And the idea was these markets don't always move in lockstep. And so if something's soft, something else is hot. In the aughts, comics were probably 75% of our advertising. Now games are probably 75% of our advertising, but I want to be in comics because that could go back, and I want to be where the market is. And if you only got a foot in one camp, you can't adapt to the times as well.
Jesse, you grew up working in a comic book store. What was when you were working in that comic book store back then? Like, was it just comics that you were selling?
Yeah, so what's funny is I was thinking between 82 and 89, before that movie, our add-ons and accessories were bags and boards. That was your add-on. That's what you would say, hey, do you need bag and boards? When Batman came in, we were accessorizing every single customer with shirts, stickers, cups. And so that add-on sale became completely different. We had to sell differently as well, because now we're selling hype to people that have never read a comic book, and we're also trying to keep them to come back. And that was very important. There's a lot of things when you look back in the day, whether it be Slurpee cups, that really never trans over to a store during that time. So I think you are right. Batman was kind of that first connection where we all of a sudden saw this new brand of customer coming in, excited. A lot of moms, a lot of dads. Hey, my kid just watched this. What do you have? And getting that comic book in their hand was very, very important on top of the accessories.
Did the movie studios or did DC Comics push the marketing in the comic book stores at that time? What caused that? Was that from the movie studio push or from DC Comics itself?
Well, it was all Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers, yeah.
So it was all the same. The licensing, like a logo shirt, I mean, they had the movie logo, which was slightly different, but they also had shirts with the old comic logos. So they were doing both.
The reason I ask that is because I feel like the publishers these days are the ones that like they miss so many opportunities, and it feels like these big opportunities come from outside industries or outside businesses that isn't from the publishers. One of the things we talk about these days is like we feel like DC not as much as Marvel these days, but especially Marvel these days, like they don't have they have no clue. They have their finger. It feels like their finger isn't on the pulse of what the buying base really wants. And it feels like they're missing out on a lot of stuff. And then when something cool does happen, recently we had that Daredevil Blaze Pizza thing that kind of happened that created like this little bit of hype, and all these people who might not be into the world of comics going, oh, that's a comic book and I want to find that comic book. If that makes sense. You guys, any thoughts on that?
I will tell you the best example right now is Dungeon Crawler. I can't tell you how many people have come in to the store who have never been in a comic book store. Mm-hmm. It is amazing how many new customers have come in, and we've been able to push them in all these directions, as well as giving them what they're kind of looking for. So,
yeah,
I got a quick one for you, Milton. If you've been around for a minute or two, we hear a lot people saying, especially with exclusive covers and variant covers, that we're just headed towards the 90s again, and it's all just the bubble that's going to burst. And I feel like we've been hearing that for 10 years now. Right. What are your thoughts on that? How would you reply to somebody saying that?
Well, right now it's a little crazier than it was 10 years ago, but I agree. We've been hearing the same thing for 10 years, that variants are the death of the industry, and why do people want to buy all these covers? They're not reading them. But collecting is part of the comics business, and people that collect cover artists, they're spending the same money that people that buy it to read. So retailers vary a lot in their approach. Some of them really nurture the collector side of the business. Others focus more on the reader side. And I wouldn't say one is better than the other. They're just different. I do think right now the whole society, I've been running a slide in my presentations for the last couple of years, that we live in a gambling society. Everything from online sports betting to meme stocks to crypto, to TCGs to blind bag comics. All of those things to me are manifestations of the same phenomenon, which is people's desires to take a chance on something, at getting something big. And I think part of that is sadly frustration with the opportunities available with work hard to get ahead. And so they're looking for a shot at the brass ring other ways. And part of it's just that, there's so much sports gambling advertising. There's so much media now, so much money behind legal gambling of all kinds, prediction markets. All this stuff is just booming. And it's a natural human thing. Gambling is. It's not. I mean, it's always been around. Usually the mob ran the numbers, right? So now the state governments run lotteries, and there's prediction markets and all these other ways to gamble legally. So I do think that's at a really high level right now, and I don't know how we break out of that.
Yeah,
I think we need more regulation on prediction markets, stuff like that, for sure. Sports gambling.
Emmet talks about that a lot. Emmet has talked about that quite a bit, about how he feels like there's certain things that where they're pushing that a little bit too much in the industry, which is very interesting. What are your thoughts on what Milton just said, Emmet? Anything there?
Yeah, no, I agree with him. I've been saying for a long time that they've gamified too much. It comes down to a point. What happened in the 90s, why I'm one of the people that say we're headed that way, and the faster we get there, is all up to how we maintain the industry, steward it along, is because it's all fine and dandy as long as people who buy expensive books can sell them for a portion of what they. But when they no longer can sell the books, nobody will buy them, or even close to the cost they paid for them, even at 50%.
Yeah.
If the economy gets bad enough where people have to dump their collections, and then stores are like, I already got a case of that, it's no longer worth the $150 or $1,500 you spent on it. It's not even worth $10. It's that's the sad part about gambling, is that nobody knows they're gambling till they lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, check your mic, Emmet, to make sure it's on, or it's all set up. Well, that's something interesting, because we talk a lot about how the industry has really shifted in the last 10 years to be even more of a collectibles industry than it is a periodical reading story-based community. And how healthy do you think that is for the industry, Milton?
Well, for me, I've been doing this a long time, and for comics, the business always relies on what's between the covers. And you can get people to try a comic or to spend a little more by buying 5 covers with variants or gimmicks or blind bags. But if the story inside doesn't work, ultimately it'll just break down like Emmet was describing. Eventually if there's not an increasing pool of buyers, the price goes down, and then there's a shrinking pool of buyers, and then you spiral downward. And that's what happened in the 90s. But things like what I was hearing at New York Comic-Con last year, which was really interesting to me, that was where I was really getting the first heavy feedback from retailers about what was happening in the business that was different this time. And one of the things I heard was that Skybound blind bags, Battle Beasts, was that the name of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said people came in because of the blind bags, maybe they bought 5 copies, but then they read it and it was really great, and they came back and bought the rest of the issues. Well, that's the way it's supposed to work. That's a wonderful thing. But if the contents hadn't been good, that wouldn't have worked that way. So I think it always comes back to, is the story good enough to engage people? And if it is, the gimmicks can work as a way to get people to read it. But if the story's not there, you're just selling pieces of paper that have no intrinsic value.
Yeah.
So would you say that the industry should try to be making readers, that should be their total focus, is to create more readers to make the industry healthier?
I think their total focus should be to get more customers. And I think that readers are a more secure kind of customer.
More of a long-term customer.
Yeah. So, things like the blind bags or variant covers, they don't bother me. People want to collect artists. That doesn't bother me. And I think the market kind of self-corrects. If people start doing too many covers, fans stop buying them.
Right.
We just hope it doesn't correct violently, which I've seen definitely in the past.
Yeah.
The question I always ask people, if they weren't buying those variants, if they weren't buying those blind bags, would they still be buying comics? And there is a portion of those people that probably wouldn't be. So you really have to connect with that story to bring them back.
I have a question, and again, this is for everybody, whoever wants to answer it, but I'll start with Milton. At what point does the scarcity and the collectible stuff become destructive? Is there a point like that you've seen throughout the history of comics where you went, that's something we need to be careful of?
When there's too much for the size of the customer base. The customer base is continually growing, and there's somebody to sell that variant issue to the next month, next week, next year. That's all great. But if the customer base isn't growing, then you can't grow or even sustain the number of those kinds of products that are sold. So it's all about supply and demand. And for any collectible, when demand goes up and supply goes up, that's great until there's one too many. And then demand goes down. And then there's too much supply. And then you get into that spiral. We're seeing this a lot more on the TCG side of the business that we cover, where there's so much crypto money in TCGs now. All the crypto bros are buying, cases and boxes and stashing them away, or really rare cards. And I think that's in a much more dangerous place than comics are right now, because there's so much outside money coming in. This pure speculation.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, I just want to remind everybody, make sure that you guys are checking out ICv2, not only for the comics news and everything, but as he said, the TCG stuff. It's got everything, showbiz, all the news and information that you want to know. Is make sure it's one of your spots that you favorite and go check out. So I just want to remind everybody that, going forward. What are your thoughts on the live stream part of the industry right now, which has become such a big talking point, especially lately around here on this channel? We've, it feels like it's really bringing in a lot of money, a lot of new collectors, and it's also a very volatile part of the industry.
You're talking about live selling, right?
Yeah, live selling. Sorry, yeah. I apologize.
Yeah,
live selling.
Yeah, you guys know more about that than I do. I mean, all I see is the total numbers of what's getting sold. I don't see exactly how they're sold. What I do know is we've been sort of following Whatnot since their early days. They've raised so much money and have really grown so fast. And now there's all these competing selling platforms on the legacy platforms like eBay, Facebook, TikTok. And when the first Whatnot news started to come out, they were citing, I think in China, it was like 20-30% of e-commerce was live selling. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that here. It's a very great way to engage customers. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I think that at least from our point of view, and I'd love to talk about this a little bit. Jesse, I'll go to you next. But from our point of view, it is very exciting. It's also, like I said, very volatile because it's so new, and we're trying to figure out how everything settles and what are the ways that the market and the people that are watching and buying are what they're good with, what they're okay with, what they're not okay with. It's very interesting, but we are seeing a ton of money, being made and being spent through these things. And it feels like a lot of it was kind of started in the COVID era, where we were all kind of stuck at home, and, you can kind of, it also becomes content at the same time, to where not only you're able to buy stuff, but you're getting entertainment value out of it, which is very interesting. Go ahead, Jesse, on what you were going to say.
Yeah, Milton, just so you know, you got the two godfathers of live streaming. Me and Sean were technically the first two people ever to live stream comics in 2016, way before COVID. So we had seen that trend coming of reaching out to customers, orphan customers across the nation that technically didn't have comic book stores within 100 miles of them. And so that was a great opportunity back then. The great numbers I always like to look at is there are about 2,500 comic book stores across the nation. There are 77,000 people that sell comic books on eBay alone. So having a market where people can buy 24/7, work hard, get off work, their comic book store is closed, but they get great comic book therapy because Sean is on till midnight. I'm on till 5 a.m. or whatever we're doing. So I think this is a good portion of the market for the future. My question, though, is I want to go backwards a little bit, is from the 80s to the mid 90s, you really didn't know what you're getting till you walked into the comic book store and got your pull box. Is there too much information now that might scare people? Do you understand the question?
Hear them? You mean because they know about too many titles, they can't decide?
Yeah, too many titles. They know the story before they walk in. They're more deciding on what covers to get versus just walking to the comic book store, back then when it was Fridays, but back on a Wednesday coming in and already knowing what's going on.
Yeah, you didn't know what was going on back in the day. You didn't
Right.
have like ICv2 or some other website telling you, hey, this is what the series is going to be about. This is what we're talking. This is it's very there's a lot of stuff going on around you, like that you're being bombarded with this information, I guess is the kind of the thing, right, Jesse?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know that the contrast is quite as big as what you're describing, because there was advanced comics and later diamond previews, where they could at least see the creative team and the outline of the story. But I think right now the role of the person behind the counter in the comic store is more important than it's ever been, because people have many opportunities about where to buy things. And there is a trend right now toward, especially among younger consumers, which is kind of shocking, who are increasingly saying they prefer to buy at brick and mortar stores versus online. I came across a poll recently, a survey that said that 2/3 of Gen Z was saying they preferred to buy in store. They might research everything online, but when they get to the store, they want to buy it there and see it first. And also, I think curation and that interaction between the retailer and the customer, that's how you build community. And I actually think that's one of the reasons that comic stores are booming right now, is that coming out of COVID, people did not have in-person community. And now they can get in-person community in their comic store, in their game store. Bookstores are booming, which I also thought was a done deal. 400 new bookstores opened last year. That's just a crazy number. And all of those things, I think, are because in all of these independent retailers, there's somebody behind the counter that knows the product intimately, is willing to understand the customer, what things they like, and direct them to other things they might like, and to maybe introduce them to somebody that also likes the same kind of thing. And that's a community. And that's something that cannot be duplicated online, no matter how good all the community sites are.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like, and we preach that very heavily over here, is how important that community is. We, especially, I'll talk from just like a male point of view. We're very tribalistic and fellowship. We love that fellowship. And I think that's very important. But I want to talk also about analytics and numbers and stuff, because you're also very influential in that world. With getting analytics in the industry and numbers and information. And do you still, you talked about demographic earlier, like, do you see the demographic changing? Are we getting more females in this industry? Or like, is there anything surprising in the demographic that you're seeing out there in those analytics?
It's not really surprising, because there's things driving those trends. The manga boom in the aughts brought in, that was like 60% female. And those readers learned how to read comics, word balloons, dialogue, action depictions, all of those are part of the vernacular of manga and of comics. And some of those female consumers started reading other forms of comics later in their lives and expanded beyond manga. In the teens, we had the explosion of kids comics. The Dave Pilkey books were selling 5 million copies. And again, you're training people how to read comics. And those are bought by moms for both boys and girls. So to me, one of the biggest reasons for the growth of the business writ large, and by that I'm talking graphic novels and comics, comic stores and bookstores, is the expansion of the demographic beyond that core male reader that I talked about that was around in the 80s. And that's been a fabulous development. And also, expanding beyond white people and beyond straight people. And there's comics for everybody now. Whoever you are, you can find somebody that looks like you or that is like you in a comic of some kind. And that's a wonderful thing, because it makes the market possible to reach everybody, not just that tiny group that was buying them in the 80s.
Right. I want to add to that. So my store, our demographics is 65% women, 35% men. So what we have noticed, the great thing about women buyers is they are group orientated. They come in groups of 5 to 7. They sit there and they talk. They scream across the floor. They have fun. They really make it an event. They accessorize everything. That's why we have socks and hats and shirts and all this other stuff. So that demographic is awesome. And if you create an atmosphere for them where they feel very comfortable, it's a great demographic to have.
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there anything out
I
there
wish I
that's...
could get...
Go ahead.
Go
Sean.
ahead. I'll say,
No,
I wish
go
I
ahead.
get some girls that like comic books.
Is there anything out there that scares you about where the industry is heading?
I think in terms of risk management in the current environment is a huge issue. It always is. This is one of the few businesses where you're buying non-returnable and you have no backstop. I mean, if you screw up, you're paying for that item, whether you sell it or not, or whatever you sell it for. So that's a scary place to be if there's a big surge like there is now, and if you get exposed with inventory. So I think that inventory management, managing risks, is a really important part of making sure the future doesn't end up in a dark place.
It's funny you say that because, real quick, not to interrupt, but one of the things that goes along with that is, and Sean has talked about this recently. We're seeing this huge boom in retailers like jumping into the retailer exclusive game again, where there had been this lull and it felt like retailers were being very picky about what they were choosing. But with Absolute Batman, 100 and almost 200 retailer exclusive variants or whatever the number is, I think 120 at least retailer exclusive variants with these Absolute Batman books, where they're going to be stuck on this inventory. And there's a chance they could be stuck on this inventory, which is crazy, in the variant world.
Right.
So
is that I guess let me add to that question. Is that a publisher issue or is that a retailer issue? So should the publisher kind of say, listen, we're kind of good at 50 exclusives on this? Or is that just retailers just wanting the exclusives?
Milton, what do you think?
I think you got to let the market drive it.
I love it.
I mean, if people buy stuff and get burned, they won't do it again. So the publisher has to respond to what the buyers want. And if they want 5 variants, great. If they want 2, great. If they want 50, and they can sell them through, they have to trust the retailer knowing their market better than they do. I mean, they're seeing the aggregate. I guess the best thing they could do is let people know how many there are, so that information is more transparent. So if you're one of 100 people doing the same thing, maybe you figure out, am I going to be the...
Yeah, shout out. I apologize. Just so you know, Milton, that was our super chat sound. And shout out to Ronnie, who just dropped a $10 super chat, who says, back from Saipan, traded typhoons for tornadoes, but glad to see your face, you guys. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you too, Ronnie. Again, another crazy, interesting way that the technology is taking place. Not to interrupt you or anything, Milton. Okay, what were we? I apologize.
I know you're talking about how the market. You got to trust the market will correct itself, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that.
But I just need complete information. If they don't have complete information, if the publisher hides that, then they're not letting the retailer make that good decision based on good information.
That's a great point. Well, that's one of the things that we talk about the most, is that how it's so hard to have that information. To get information, it's sometimes it's hidden from publishers, and all we really have are order numbers. Nobody wants to give print numbers. It's very hard to get that information. Even if we had a chance to get it, the point of sale systems, with live selling and so many things that, it's hard to have those numbers. Is there anything out there that you see, on reporting on the industry and new things in the industry, where we could figure out a way to get those numbers? Have better numbers and what's selling, how many things have been printed or ordered, or do you think we'll never get those numbers?
I think the Diamond situation was unique. When we started publishing internal correspondence, we started running indexes, that showed how one title sold relative to the other. And when Diamond started doing it, they did the same. And after they bought us, they were running those kind of reports. And at ICv2 in the very early days, the early aughts, we got publishers to give us their numbers so I could see. And it took a while to figure out, well, okay, this doesn't include UK, to get it to work. But I got it to the point where our numbers matched Diamond's sell-in numbers to the copy. And so that was a unique situation. There was only one distributor. The information was not being released by the publisher, so they didn't have control of it because they don't want to release that information. And I don't think we're ever going back to that unless we end up with a single comic distributor again. And even then, I think you'd have to have one that was willing to publish indexes. So no, I don't think we're ever going to have it. I will say on a positive side, we recently added Comic Shop Assistant to Comic Hub information.
Yeah,
so we're on over 200 stores with the sales charts we're running. And so at least it's a ranking of, from a pretty good representation of comic retailers on what the best-selling titles are, but that's about the best we can do right now. Publishers do have control of that number of store variants, though, and I do think that's something they should just really.
Did you, when you brought so you have Comic Hub, you have the new one that's 250, was there any stores that actually had both accounts? Were you able to cross-reference that?
I don't have individual store data. I just got totals.
Oh, just got totals. And then another question I want to ask everybody on the DS, on the panel, how many retailers actually would know how to use that information? What do you think that percentage would be?
Low. I think.
Sean?
What information specific are you talking about? How much the sales data?
Sales data.
Yeah, sales data. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tricky question, bro, because I think everyone has to do what's good for their store. I would use that data much differently than Emmet would use it. If we were smart, we would use it to determine sales, but only sales data I really care about is my sales data. I don't care if 50,000 people are selling Harry Potter. If I can't sell Harry Potter, that I'm not going to order a bunch of Harry Potter. So that data really doesn't, it's fun to talk about. It's fun to see the numbers. It's fun to see, everyone's talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's all the rave, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a huge demand for it. People ask for it. I bought 5 or 10. We sold them. I'm good. I don't need to order 100 copies. You know what I mean?
No, they had the mini trade comes out now, not the free comic book day, but the trade's going to drop, and that's what people are going to be looking for.
Yeah, we sold ours, and we don't,
Well, we've talked about.
Sales. Oh, you already sold them?
We've talked about before how different platforms you have different sales, right? We've always talked about how on retailers' sales changes to what is really selling and what's hot on. What might work on Whatnot, or what might work on eBay proper, or eBay Live, or it's all different. And it feels like if you could utilize all those different tools or those different platforms to sell different things, that it's the key. But sometimes it's hard to do that. It's hard to use the.
My buddy sells on 5 different platforms, and he says that his best-selling book is different from platform to platform.
Yes. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
My website is completely different from Whatnot shows.
Yeah.
Almost, you'd think I was in 2 different planets.
Yeah.
It's
when
wild.
I moved to Florida from Arizona, of course, Arizona, I had probably a 400 square foot Lady Death section. So what I do here when I get to Florida, I have a 400 Lady Death square foot section. Well, now that section is about 10 feet, right? So just regional, trying to learn what works for your store is very, very interesting. So yeah, it is. I think numbers are important if you know how to use them, and if you know how to use them for your store in general. I think that's very, very important. Understanding your turn rates, your sell-throughs, extremely, extremely important as well.
Yeah, one thing I'd say about the sales charts is just when you see national rankings, it tells you what the total market is everywhere. and it might display, where, I guess if I were a retailer, I would be looking at where am I outperforming the market? That's great. How can I build on that? And then where am I underperforming the market? What am I doing that I'm not reaching that customer that appears to be there, but that I'm not finding? Could I display it different? Could I put Dungeon Crawler Carl in the window or whatever, and would those customers find me, or use it in my social media or something to get those people to find me? Because the market is there. Manga's a big one like that too. We publish those book scan charts, which are almost all manga. And they might not be useful to retailers that aren't doing a lot of manga, but man, if you want to sell manga, those charts tell you what the national market is. And if you're not carrying Jujutsu Kaisen, which just dominates that chart right now, you're not going to sell manga.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think that percentage is of the consumer reading that chart and the retailer reading that chart?
It's blind on a website, man. I have no idea.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I think publishers look at it a lot. I think that's actually one, and creators. I have creators. What's the guy's name? Antoine Dobson, I think his name is. He was doing Storm. Is that right? Anyway, he was saying, well, my book comes out in the 4th week of the month. What would happen if it were in the 1st week of the month? And he's trying to figure out, how his book sells relative to others. So I think creators and publishers that find it useful. And I think that's important because that helps them tailor their offerings to to what the market wants.
I think that we're seeing this big influx from the youngest generation. We're seeing these huge sellouts in Ben 10, and we're seeing the Dungeon Crawler Carl talk. We saw all the excitement over Dork, and we're seeing this like
murder drones. There's
murder drones. Yeah, there's a bunch of new ones coming out with V Friends. We're seeing this big influx from that younger generation that are finally getting to the point where they might have some dispendable income to waste on collectibles and comics, and more importantly, things that they're nostalgic for. The interesting thing is I would love to know if you think that the younger fans that are entering, mainly through manga and anime, do you think that they look at comics as more as like entertainment and reading, or collectibles first? Do you think that they have one preference or the other?
If they're coming from manga, they're looking to read, because manga is not about collecting.
Absolutely. Yep.
Which is very interesting, and I feel like maybe something that we should foster, because I don't think that there's any of us that think that reading wouldn't help it, because even me, who's been one of the people that says, I truly believe that the vast majority of comics that are sold these days are never even cracked open. But I could be wrong. Again, like Milton, I was saying before the show when we were backstage, I'm coming from the angle as a straight collector, somebody who doesn't see the sales data all the time. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that most people are reading their books, or do you think that they're just collecting them and putting them in a box or grading them, that type of thing?
Depends on the customer. Some customers are collecting art. They're buying covers, and others are buying to read. And I don't know what the percentages are. I know it's a big, healthy percentage. I don't know if it's half. There's a big, healthy percentage that are just collecting for art and putting them away, but I also think there's a lot of people that are reading, and some of those people convert. Like we were talking about with Battle Beasts. Some of these people that might buy for one reason eventually end up reading. Comics are not an easy medium to get into in terms of reading. Graphic novels are so much easier because they're complete stories. You don't have to know the whole universe's continuity in order to understand what the hell is going on. And I attributed that, or the growth in graphic novels as the dominant format over the last 20 years, to that phenomenon. Comics to me are the bottom of the funnel. The top of the funnel is all the people that are aware of all the comic properties. They see movies and television shows, and they see merch, and they're aware of all these properties, or maybe they're watching anime, and they might buy some graphic novels, and because those are relatively easy to get into, get a complete story. But man, buying those weekly comics, that's a really hardcore fan. That is not a casual consumer. That's a serious fan. That's the bottom of the funnel. So I think looking at comic periodicals as an opportunity to grab new customers is not the right way to look at it. The way to grab new customers is those more casual interactions with the medium, and then build them into something where they want to read the stories as they come out. But you can't start there. It's very difficult to start there. Comics are a really hard thing for people to get into, especially superhero comics with these massive continuities.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to go back to your page real fast. With all the press releases that come out, how do you determine what is good for your page and your brand?
Well, there's a few criteria. We try to focus on business. So if it's a business story, that's more likely to get published, even if it's going to be a lower readership article than if it's not a business story. If it's, but we use our analytics a lot. I'm looking at the reporting several times a day, what's pulling, what's not. There's different kinds of traffic too. The stuff that comes in from Google Discover, those are not our core readers. So we might get a big hit on an article from Google, but those aren't our core readers. It's not that the traffic isn't valuable, but it's not as valuable to us or our readers or our advertisers in terms of ongoing engagement. So it's the type of reader it will attract, how many clicks it gets, and what do those analytics show as far as what kind of reader it is?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, man, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with us tonight. This is the first time you've been on the channel, and I got to warn you, we're going to bug you a bunch to come and hang out with us more. I think this, to be honest, I would love if you come back again, and maybe we could pick your brain once every quarter or something, and feel what your thoughts are on where the industry is, where it's going, what you see from your angle over at ICv2. I think that your knowledge in this industry and what you've seen and is invaluable. And for us over here who are really trying to build something with this industry show, we would love to have you back if you're willing to come back and hang out with us another time soon.
Well, you got to look at your metrics, right? Or people going to want to.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Hey, Milton, before you leave, I want to ask you, how did you start doing these spotlight articles? I know
the white hat articles,
or
the white papers, white papers.
Yeah, exactly. How did that all of a sudden start? It's been pretty impressive, and you've been seeming to have a new article every 2 days spotlighting someone.
You're talking about the retailer spotlights.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've done that in a bunch of different formats. One of the big forces in developing that was Jim McLaughlin, who was an editor at Wizard, a really long-term guy in the business. And he was running these business 3x3 articles once a month. What are 3 things you did right, 3 things you did wrong, and 3 things you learned along the way. And we ran those for years, and they were really popular. And so we started to develop some new formats recently. So Vibe Check is one of them. What's going on in your store? What's the vibe in your store? What's selling? What's not? Hits and Misses, David Harper from Sketched has been writing those. Explore the Store is another one. So like I was in Asheville recently, so I went into a couple of Asheville, North Carolina, which is a very cool town. I went into a couple stores, took pictures, talked to the retailer a little bit to find out what was going on there. I think the best way for retailers to learn is from each other. First of all, you're the most reliable source, or the ones that other retailers are most likely to believe, right? Because you're living it. I'm just an observer. You guys are living it. And so I think that's really valuable to retailers to see what's going on with other stores. And there's such an immense variety. I mean, you guys are all different all over the country. There's so many different ways to skin a cat. If you read something like one of my favorite interviews recently was with the guy that founded New England Comics. I don't know if you guys read that interview.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
33 stores. That blew me away.
Well, and they expect their annual revenue this year to be $90 million on 30 stores. So you can do the math on how those stores are rocking.
Yeah,
and
right.
Sort of a trend retailer. They started in comics. They added vinyl. They're still selling vinyl. But he's doing those Smiskies and Sunny Angels and T-shirts. And I walked into their store in Boston in a tourist area. First thing I saw was a bunch of licensed crochet kits. It's like, what? There's a whole wall. So And they were like Minecraft crochet kits, and every other, video game property and stuff. So he has learned a lot about retailing in the last 50 years since they opened that chain. And when you read something like that, and that's so different from somebody that's just focused on comics and really killing it on, building a collector base and a consumer base for comics. But there's so many ways to do it. You can always learn something from another retailer. I had one question too before I go, if I can.
Yeah.
You guys that are doing live streaming or live selling, are you running your sales through your POS systems or not?
Absolutely
so
not.
because you're using their platform. So
Okay.
you're using eBay. I'm an eBayer. Sean's a whatnot, or I think Sean does both. But yeah, you're using their platform. So you're logging into eBay to sell on their platform with your product. So technically you do have inventory, right? So you can look at your turn rates, your sell-throughs, what's hot, what the price points are, and what's trending. So there is a benefit of that.
So how do you integrate your data then when it's time to do a buy between what you're going to sell on those platforms versus in your stores?
Great
Well,
question.
so real quick, Whatnot did just add integration into Shopify. So
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
can-
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, I can link I haven't really used it yet. And honestly, Milton, a lot of the live selling for new stuff, it's a shot in the dark. You're going off instinct. It's been the same way for live sales for me for 10 years. When I first started ordering for my live shows, my FOC orders were what I thought I could sell. And it's very dangerous game to play because, like you said, you get stuck holding that bag. There's no refunds. There's no returns. You got to move that product somehow. So,
And for me, new comics is a net loss. Basically, it creates traffic into my store. Breaking even is probably my best weeks.
And what are you making the money on then?
So my job is not to sell what people come in for, is to sell them something else. So it's the add-on. I don't do socks, but as Jesse would say, it's socks and, t-shirts, hats,
Vinyl.
older comics.
Yep. I will
Old
tell you
comics, all
what,
the margins are in old comics.
I'm
Physical
ordering
media.
crochet stuff as we speak.
you got to sell to all those women coming into your store. You got to
Yeah,
sell them.
exactly.
I do vinyls and I do video games and I do TCGs. I have a 3,000 square foot store and it is packed. There's not a space for anything.
Look at the channel check. We call them channel checks, or I don't remember if I did this one as an Explore the Store or channel check. Channel check might be behind the paywall, but walking through that New England comic stores, man, I saw so much crazy stuff. I mean, bumper stickers, pins.
I have
Pins
been
are a
bumper
big deal
stickers.
for some people. They
Pins.
sell a lot of collector pins.
I sell just comics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's a different model and it works great for
Yeah.
some.
Just comics.
Yeah,
Milton-
I will tell you, you learn from every customer what to sell. I sell everything. Someone wants to sell me their car, I'm buying their car and I'll put it out front and sell it.
Hell yeah.
But I think listening to the customer base, watching their trend, I learned something a long time ago. Even if someone doesn't buy something, watch what they touch, because at least that excited them for a second. So I think you should always be expanding as a retailer, right? I'm a retail store, so I'm trying to figure out what can I sell that customer one more item at the or in the store or at the counter.
That's our job.
Milton, one of the things that we were talking about before we started the show is, I talked about doing this industry show, and the key to me is having different retailers with that different model base to talk about what works for them, because there's so many different types of retailers. But before we let you go, I want to bring in our second guest so you guys can say hi real quick. This is another one of the great pioneers in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Haberlin joins us. Brian, hello.
Hey, everybody.
How you
Hey,
doing?
Milton.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Milton, get off.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
And you have to get Milton at one point. I didn't see the earlier part of your conversation. You got to get him to give you the behind the scenes when Diamond took over as the the single distributor.
I
You guys haven't talked about that yet.
You know, he thinks I'm joking. He might think we're joking about bugging him to come back because, you know, honestly, I would love to like I said, maybe check in with him quarterly or whatever he's willing to do.
I want to hear the whole publishing story too, because I was a big Badger fan.
Okay.
Two of my one of the only two comics I have in my collections, Capital Badger #1.
All right.
Milton is a great resource. He knows what's going on.
Thanks, Brian.
Amen.
And I'm sure you'll tell him a lot about what's going on out in California and in your world as well. I've always learned a lot from you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Milton. We'll talk to you soon, my friend, and very nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you, Milton.
Amazing. That's how we love to do this show. What a great
Is that the
segue, as
first
we
time
say.
he's been on your show?
That's the first time we've had Milton on the show, which is excellent. So
He's there's a lot of depth there that you can go back to that well.
Yeah. It's really fascinating, and you know, it's one of the things that we started off talking about, Brian. Is it's fun to have these pioneers of the industry, you know, come in on the show and talk to us about what really you know goes on in the true history of this industry, because you know not everybody out there that's collecting comics or truly into comics knows this, and it's nice to be able to document it and talk about it in some way.
Yeah. No, I still remember the day at Top Cow when I was running the creative side of the company and Brad Foxhoven was running the business side of the company. And when Mark said, "Yep, we're going to go exclusive with Diamond," and we were like, "Wait, what?" There was no discussion. There was no. I was like, "Wait,
right?
You sure? Are we like? Have you really sourced this out? Do we really know?" You know.
Yeah.
But there's a very interesting. If you've never heard the stories on the Marvel side and the other side of what happened back then, oh boy, that's a show for you right there.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear those stories.
You know,
oh boy,
we need to get that.
All I'm going to say is part of the story is about an unrequited lover who spilled the beans on the deal before it happened.
Always
Need to get
that bedroom
Milton
talk.
wine drunk.
The scorned woman who caused some dominoes to fall.
Oh man,
A little bit of modern day Troy story there, huh?
Yes, yeah, to say the least.
Oh no, Oko.
Yeah, Yoko Ono, yeah.
Yoko Ono,
Yeah. You know, Brian, this is, you know, you've been on the channel before, and we had such a great conversation with you last time. I think we were talking Aria at that time too, but we'll get into that in a second. But I just want to remind everybody, you know, about you and again how important you've been to this industry. You've been ahead of the curve for it feels like your whole career in this industry. You know, you started out like you said back in those early Image days, and were around for all that, and you've been you know, a big pioneer as an artist in this industry, and it's funny because I told this on the show before. I didn't get to see you the last con I was at. You were the only guy that I didn't get to stop by and see, and I was so bummed out because I had so much stuff that I wanted to talk to you about and see you sign this. But every time I would stop by, I would walk by, you were always talking to somebody. You're always there talking to somebody, and for good reason. You've been in this industry a long time. You're a staple in this industry. You're very well respected a creator and industry vet, and you've seen a lot here. What are your thoughts on the current state of the industry and what we're seeing? Because there is, you know, you've been very influential in the world of, you know, how artists use technology and forward thinking, and it is being bombarded with that right now in many ways, not just on the art side, but also on the retailer side, like we talk with live selling and technology and everything. It's very interesting. It's happening so quick.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the problem I'm seeing is, of course, you know, again, I think the variant stuff, because it doesn't help add readers. You know, that's what we need more of. You know, the comic book market lives and dies by the quality of the books in the stores.
Yes.
You know, when you have, you know, Frank Miller's Dark Knight showing up, you know, when you have, I still remember when I was at my first job out of school, it was when Miracle Man started, right? And that book, if anyone remembers from back in the day, was not necessarily on a schedule.
No.
But I would go in every Wednesday asking my comic book store, is the next Miracle Man out yet? But it made me go into the store and look for something else because that book was so good. That's what we need more of. But and I'm not saying that they're not out there. I think they probably are. But there also are so many things.
One of the things,
how do these guys get noticed on these things, without doing something that's so far out there that people go, oh, I'm just dismissing that because that guy's, just doing some crazy PR shit and stuff. It's not boots on the ground, quality story, boots on the ground, quality art,
One of the things that I think we might have one of the things that I think that we might have brought up the last time you were on, I could be mistaken, but was at the time there was like a lot of this talk around, I forget who it was, but somebody had mentioned, it might have been Mark Miller when he was first having his discussions with other creators on his YouTube channel. And one of the things that he felt like was necessary is for some of the greats in this industry to maybe come back. And it's upon them to maybe come back and not necessarily save the industry, but it'd be nice to see, these greats come back and do a storyline once a year for one of the big publishers out there, just to, bring back that want for good storylines. Grant Morrison should be doing a DC or Marvel storyline a year, or something along those those things. What do you have any thoughts on that?
Again, I'm more inclined to finding the new kids that can do it than that. Mostly because a bunch of us get old and we get tired of doing it.
Fresh ideas for the younger people too.
I mean, a 24-page or whatever book every month is a good slog. I'm starting a new series, and you can see up on the wall my progress for the last month and a half.
Yeah,
that's 34 pages. But it's when I jumped back into doing it, I was like, because I was doing the fine art stuff and doing really well with the fine art stuff, and it was like, oh, a page. Yeah. Okay. A lot of, okay. Even with all my, because I work usually with a 3D model base on everything. That what it does is I've always proponent, even when I first started Top Cow in '93, though we couldn't do it back then, was like, why are we doing comics this way instead of like what Pixar does, or stuff? Why don't, so, almost everything I do has some sort of a 3D model base, the characters. And what's great about that is enables you to then, as a small creator, then you have your 3D model you can print out and take to cons,
I couldn't agree more. And that's a very interesting point that brings us right into it. Like, how much of that 3D model reference stuff, like, has Marvel and or comic artists used historically? And what do you think about how much they're using it now? Because some of our favorite current artists in the game right now, Mark Spears, Bjorn Barons, a lot of these guys that we really love utilize that in their art. I would love to hear your thoughts on that currently and in the past as being a forerunner in it.
Yeah, it just was a no-brainer for me because, all my characters are rigged. I can animate them. I can have them talk to you. I usually did that when I was doing my last series. I'd have Virgil of Hellcop talk to you. You want to know what happened last month at Hellcop? And it'd be the character animated, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah.
And I'd have every time I launched a book, as Jesse would know, I would send out packages of stuff, like when we launched Hellcop the last time, I had little Hell coins that we printed on the 3D printers that were then patina and everything like that, so we could do animation, we could do, the sculpts, we could do, again, these like really cool little relief
augmented
things.
reality.
Augmented reality.
Yeah.
We were a pioneer in that for years, until we found out that really we'd sell like 40,000 copies of a book and then find out maybe 500 people downloaded the app, You know?
Right.
The problem with this, and look at that one. See that to me, that's cool.
I couldn't agree
I can
more.
see sliders on a page, and I can see the pages it is printed in the book. Then I can see the inked line art, right? And then I can slide it down, and then I can see the breakdowns. You know, that right there
is worth it just
cool.
alone. No, I agree.
Right.
Because I mean, look at how many, people love seeing this stuff.
Guys, is I found I had to hand sell them.
Right.
A simple,
but that was 10 years ago. That was
online. People didn't get it.
This
but
is like
at shows, we would sell out left, right, and center.
Yeah. This is 10 years ago or more, right? I mean, like we're seeing this more and more. As a matter of fact, I just had a conversation today with somebody talking about a project they're working on, which they were so excited about because, they figured out a way to put some type of like a chip in their comic that says, oh, you're buying this comic from this retailer or from, this person or this is getting signed. You have these people doing these video on demand things where you can see when an artist signed your item. You're not just seeing the autograph, you're seeing a video of them signing it. And so we're seeing more and more people utilize this technology now. Do you think that there's a better chance we could see them utilize this augmented reality more and more?
I don't think so, for the reason I kind of slated is that it really requires hand selling.
Yeah,
it doesn't really add that. I mean, it adds the cool factor unnecessarily, definitely. I mean, when we first did it on Anomaly, that big giant graphic novel that I did, my first thing, we launched with 25 augmented reality pages. And over the years, we updated it 5 times over the years. So eventually it was 75 augmented reality pages. What other book can add to itself after it's published?
I actually want to show this real quick, Brian, because this was just this real quick part. I'll let it play for a couple of minutes because this was the Anomaly stuff, and this is fascinating to me because one of the biggest things that happens in the world of comic book content on YouTube is exactly what you did here with Anomaly, where you have these Comics Explained sites, Comic Historian, where they're explaining people all these old school storylines, and they're going through the art and kind of telling the story without like repeating the story. And they're some of the biggest viewed YouTube channels on the platform. And this is exactly what you were kind of doing with Anomaly and a lot of the stuff that you've pioneered over the years. So I'm going to play this real quick, just a couple seconds of this. There we go.
Low technology, but can be highly aggressive. Total population unknown. We called them clicks because of the sounds they made. I'll never forget that sound. No one ever even knew their real names. Big suckers. Wouldn't want to go hand to hands with them. Highly aggressive is what kept running through my mind. Highly aggressive.
I mean, and that's perfect. That's exactly
why'd you stop it? I was totally getting into it.
Well, we're going to be launching that on my YouTube channel. That's full 2.5 hours worth. And then we have another one for our shifter graphic novel.
I was just going to say that. Good. That is what we want, and obviously we see that from these, multi-million subscriber channels like Comics Explained and Comic Historian, and millions of views on videos, and the fans are there for it. So I love that this is going to be coming out on your YouTube channel.
Oh,
hey, Brian, let me ask you this. So when you're looking at customer behavioral patterns and their buying patterns, can you be maybe too far out in technology where in the comic book world they might not understand it?
Again, I think the problem is just conveying it. Is doing something like we did with the augmented reality and all this stuff that needed to be shown live. And you guys don't have time. I mean, we provided, when we first came out with Anomaly, we provided like videos and stuff for people to play in their store if they had like a TV and stuff, so they didn't have to show people, oh, look, this is what it does.
Right.
But even with that, we really needed to have like some major celebrity saying, hey, check this out, it's really, really cool. And we really didn't have that. But even like we tried to do, we did some VR too back in the early days, and that was so funny because we did CES, was the big Las Vegas technology thing, and we're talking about doing this in 2011. And we had our app experience set up, and we had the headphones, and we actually had, not headphones, but the headset. And man, you could not, our monkey brains do not want to put that thing on. That's the problem with VR. There's this thing now covering you. We even tried at a Diamond Summit or a Comics Pro back in the day, and it was like we were saying, okay, take it for a ride for free and stuff like that. And people were just like scared.
Yeah.
I love my VR headset, but it is hard to get people to put that thing on. For sure.
I think it's a psychological thing. I think Sean, I don't think our monkey brains like the idea that we can't perceive what's going on around us.
Yeah. No, something you said earlier, and then so I dabble in writing. I'm a terrible writer, but I've written comics, and I want nothing more than people to read the stuff that I've written, right? Just read the story, man. Like, just please read it, right? I do a YouTube show where we review our top 10 I read 20 comics a week, and I rank them all. I would give anything to get people to read a comic. Just read them. I preach it all the time. Read your comics, right? And I love the things that you're doing, like the augmented reality. I mean, that's the first time I saw that was so cool. You scan it with your phone and it pops up and you're like, whoa, that's so cool. And all that's just, it's kind of, for lack of a better term, you can call it a gimmick, right? But it's trying to get people into that book. Just pick it up and open it up and look at it.
It's icing on the cake is how I often describe it.
And your web comic with that web series, that's so cool. I could have sat here and watched the whole thing. I was already fascinated. Like that's so cool. And you're basically reading it to them, really, just like
voice acted. We have that voice acted by 30 different actors from television.
It's so good. I mean, just absorb my content, right? Like absorb it.
Yeah.
And then we talk a lot in this about there's different sides of the comic industry, right? There's the variant side of things, and there's the people that adamantly say variants are going to kill the industry and it's not bringing in readers, and that's part of the problem. The way I see it is just like you're doing with the augmented reality and stuff. It's like, just get the book in people's hands.
Yeah.
That's step one, right? If it means you're buying a $40 foil exclusive that you're never going to open up, just buy the book. It's another copy sold. But yeah, I guess I'm super curious, especially in all the things that you're doing. Like, where do you see the intersection of that becoming? I don't know. Like, how do I get? Because I struggle with this all the time too. Like, I want to do really cool covers for my comics so people buy them.
Sure.
But I still want them to open it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I get, the price point, $5 price point is cool, but also I got to stay in business.
Yeah.
So like, kind of what have you experienced in, because I'm just, creeping on your history here. You've done so much stuff. It's mind blowing the stuff you've done.
Thanks.
Like, how do you approach that when you're marketing, making a book, and you're thinking about that balance between?
I always point back to, again, successes that I've had, but successes that I've also been part of. So let's say Witchblade. Witchblade didn't start top of the pile, that's for sure. But it was, and really, I was only involved in writing the first couple issues with David Wall. David Wall then took the ball and ran with it. But you had Mike Turner, and it was Mike at just the beginning. I mean, we just did, prior to it, Mike and I did Ballistic Wetworks crossover, which was a mini series. And it was when Mike, all of a sudden you could see this guy was just, why are his double page spreads bigger than anybody else's double page spreads? And it's like, and he was just starting to hit on all cylinders, and then he hit on all cylinders for Witchblade, and Witchblade did that thing, right? Same. Because that's the hard part about doing independent comics, is getting, because you always will sell this much for the number one, you'll sell half of that for number two, usually. Right.
Yeah.
And then is when the readers start getting involved. So all of a sudden you'll see like numbers like, oh wait, it didn't really go down on number 3. And wait, we got a little bit of a bounce on number 4, you know, and we got, I mean, that was the whole thing. I've told people about this all the time. It's like Kirkman, right? It's like Walking Dead. He kept that going when it was in the red, you know, in the beginning. But it was one of those things that there are so many things coming out to the stores that if you see a new comic, and we all know it's $5 now or for whatever it's going to be for that book. You see that new comic, you look at it, you go, yeah, it looks okay, but you know, it's not going to last. I'm not going to invest in it, right? And then you know, a couple months later, you come to the store and there's the 5th issue or you know, or whatever. It's like, oh, it's still around, okay, you know, or there's the trade or whatever, and then you kind of okay, I'm gonna get in on that, you know.
There's always that little bit of there's always that little bit of heat, you know, that somebody will come up. I remember like I was not into Walking Dead at all. It's funny. I tell this story all the time to people that watch me on Wednesdays. I was a Battle Pope fan, which is, you know, see, exactly, right? So
Brit. You down the Brit.
You got it, Brian. Totally. So I remember going into the store and asking, "Hey, did you get the Battle Pope issue I'm trying to find?" You know, because at the time it was only self-published, and I remember them going, "You got to check out Kirkman's other stuff, like Walking Dead. It was on issue 6 or 7 at the time. People there, you know, my at the time Jesse wasn't he wasn't here in Phoenix yet, but it was Atomic Comics, and they were telling me, you know, you should check out this Walking Dead. And I said, well, what's it about? Oh, it's about zombies. Oh, I don't want to know about zombies. But I remember, you know, the next, like you said, you go back in and then they say, hey, have you checked out, another person says, have you checked out Walking Dead? Hey, have you checked out Walking Dead? And you get that kind of outside influence that validates that. And there's this excitement that builds. And I think that's hyper right now, if that makes sense. Like I always, just like we always do, we always go back to that nostalgia, to those feelings that we had when we, you know, go back into the comic stores.
Did you ever hear the story, Brian? Because, you know, it was Jim Valentino was publisher at the time at Image, right? And the book was coming out and it was doing its thing. And he was like, zombies. He wasn't really into it, right? And then Kirkman told him in one meeting, I think it was around probably issue 4 or 5. It's like, well, you know, we're eventually going to do the reveal that they're all aliens and it's an alien invasion. And Jim Valentino goes, oh, cool. Okay, let's keep going with that.
Yeah. That's funny.
Real quick, I want
going to happen.
Yeah.
I want Emmet to be able to contribute. I think he's frozen. He's been sitting very still for quite some time. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Which is funny because it wasn't there a single solo issue called Walking Dead Aliens?
I'm not sure. I don't think
no,
so.
when they did, remember they did the Skybound Presents and then they represented it as aliens. That was in the intro. Kirkham talks about that, how it was supposed to be an alien.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, it'd be fun to go back and write it as aliens. It was a crazy story.
Yeah.
Well, again, going back to what you were saying about things I've been involved in, that, you know, I still can't believe that Marvel never repeated the success of hiring 2 indie guys to run their comic company, which was basically Joe and Jimmy. Marvel Knights. I was involved in the beginning of Marvel Knights. And it's like, okay, let's get that really good writer and that really good artist and let's put them together. You know, but I think also you have guys who come from that indie side who struggle and fight to get sales and understand stuff. I just don't understand why they never repeated that. Either company repeated that, really. I mean, you kind of have it in Jim Lee because Jim did come after he did the big stuff came back through.
Think about what's going on with the Absolute universe now. Maybe they're doing that, Brian, with just different people, right? I mean, you know, there's rumors there's rumors now that we're hearing that maybe Scott is going to be given some type of role as editor in chief over there or something, and You know,
Please.
we see this kind of thing that's happening, and it's pushing more towards the reader side, and we're getting these great stories. But at the same time, what's very interesting is we're all, you know, I talk about this all the time. We're also kind of pushing those readers, those longtime readers, into like a new form of comics where a lot of those guys might not be into the manga or anime style, but Absolute Batman is just kind of like manga and anime Batman influence a little bit, right? And it's very interesting to see this, and that's kind of pioneering into this new era of comics, which you lived and were breathed in the Image days. What are your thoughts on like that new world that we're seeing in the big publishers, especially right now with the Absolute universe?
Well, I think it's great. Again, I think I'm anything that brings people into stores makes me happy. You know, that's for sure. I'm a little worried about the new things that Marvel has set up with their new,
midnight,
new people. Have we ever seen it like work really well? Someone who has like no comic experience running a comic company. Have we seen that work yet?
Not that I can think of. That's the most surprising part, to be honest. Yeah. And they're going full bore over there, you know, across the board with all the Marvel stuff, MCU, everything. It's very interesting. And again, I still believe that I think that Marvel is just, this is what it feels like to me, especially as a collector. Again, this is me coming, I'm not a retailer, I'm a collector and a podcaster. And from my point of view, I feel like Marvel is just banking on their IP and the money they're going to make from movies and everything. And the comic side, they're just throwing darts at a board for most of their decisions. It really feels like that. And it's sad.
Well, and being someone who's been in the trenches for a long time doing this stuff, and I think it's still a problem, both big two, but you know, none of them have artist editors anymore, people who have been professional, and none of them have writer editors either.
No.
And that enables you to save a title. You can save a title when you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether somebody just stopped teaching these people how to do that or what happened.
Sean,
I
go
say that
ahead.
all the time. Like, you go to anytime I League of Comic Geeks and I'm looking at the editors, they look like they're 23 years old, they're fresh out of college. And sometimes I'm reading a story and I'm like, who editor let this get through? Who let them do that? Who thought this would be a good idea? Like,
well, I want
who's
to
in
ask,
charge over there?
I want to ask Brian this, because speaking on that, Sean, I've said this before, that one of the things that I feel, especially with Marvel right now, is it goes like that. They care more about if a writer or an artist is going to get something done on time rather than quality. And I think that goes that speaks a lot. I mean, we've seen them fumble amazing characters. A perfect example is Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk is such a great design of a character. You find somebody that has just a decent amount of knowledge and maybe the punk aesthetic, maybe a little bit of the history of punk and the history of...
Throw Jim Manfood on it. You know?
Yeah, throw Jim Manfood on it. Exactly. You're 100%. Brian,
okay.
How easy is that? How easy is that? And they're and they completely fumbled it. And that is so surprising to me that makes me think that they're throwing, you know, at a dartboard, just things at a dartboard, if that makes sense. You know, they do that a lot.
Hey, Brian, Alex had a question for Brian.
Yes, he did, and he even dropped a super chat. He says, for $5 super chat, question for Brian: who influenced your art? And I want to add on to that, is there anybody that is currently influencing your art?
Oh boy, when I started, so I was introduced to comics in my teens by Brian Holguin, his older brother Kevin Holguin. Brian is my co-creator on Aria. You know, we were high school, and my buddy Kirk Dilbeck, and these guys already had collections, and so they were cherry picking the best of the best. You know, so in the original early days, it was Jim Starlin's Warlock, you know, Adam Warlock. It was the Marvel 2-in-1, you know, series. It was like, oh, okay, great, this is awesome. And it was
Cosmic Marvel,
you know,
baby.
I loved all the cosmic stuff.
Yeah.
But then we get into everything. I used to do I can't remember his name, Bruce Schwartz, I want to say. I don't know if he still does. He used to run the Los Angeles Monthly Con at the Shrine Auditorium.
Wow.
I don't know if that still even exists anymore, but there used to be a monthly show, and he was nice enough to give me a little table to draw at every once in a while. Sometimes I got to trade back then in the day, like a guy. Here's a couple drawings for Steranko's Shield run, so pulling Steranko, but I was always a sponge because I was always like, what's next, after you go through the mark. And I still remember the great conversation where it's like telling my friends, oh, hey, what do you got next? Well, there's this book called Daredevil. It's like, what's it about? It's this blind lawyer who fights crime at night. And I'm thinking, but it was Frank Miller's start.
Right. 158 up. Yep.
But I will tell you also, one of my biggest mistakes back then when I was 16 is I started collecting comic art back then, and I bought 2 Daredevil covers from Frank for $200 each.
Wow.
Woo!
And
spending that money. That's a lot of money back then.
$400 each.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, do you still have them? Please tell me you still have them.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
no.
money.
$400 each of this. You can mean 16-year-old. You're going, yeah, double my money. I'm all
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh, so Brian Haberlin is a dirty flipper.
Yeah. Early
Yeah.
flipper. Yeah.
Is there anybody currently that makes that gets your juices flowing, that makes you go, man, like they
Oh yeah, there's what do I usually have something in here that's not mine. I forget his name. Yannick
Paquette.
Yeah, I like his stuff.
Yep.
I like seeing, again, it's neat to see people progress and change. I mean, that's like one of those, I was saying this the other day on a podcast. It's sad because Mike Turner was a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But it's also sad in that I know Mike kept striving for new things. And there you go. That's the Aria cover that Mike did for us back in the day. I'm so sad that I can't see what he would be doing right now.
Couldn't agree more. Yes, sir. Amen.
That's the sad. But again, talk about like Mark Silvestri, from evolving into this now Franklin Booth frickin' etching style stuff, As I teased him, I remember when I saw him at the show when he was still working on that Batman thing that he was working on for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And I always knew because how fast he was because I'm working with him on that. I go, yeah, just what you need, a style that's going to take you longer to do. It's so beautiful, it's just.
Does the industry in the artist world miss out not having bullpens and all that?
Oh God,
everybody in the same.
No, I would not be who I am today at all if it wasn't for starting at Homage Studios, which was Wildstorm, Top Cow, and Will Spartasio all together in an open floor plan office suite in Mira Mesa, California, where you could walk behind Scott Williams and watch him ink if you weren't an asshole. You could go around the other side, the New Kids on the Block, Jeff Campbell just starting. You could learn from Jim Lee. You could learn from, there are people there that are not in the industry, but were stunning back then. And even at Top Cow, our new kids, we had, Brandon Peterson, we had Joe Benitez, we had Dave Finch starting, Travis Cheris joined the studio. It's like, and everybody was out to beat each other too, to do better than this guy. And that's the other thing I always put out to young artists, because you have these people who are like, oh, it's not a competition. No, you want your competitors to be so badass, they make you strive to be more badass.
Yeah.
I always compare it to like, I'm a kid of the late 70s, 80s. I always consider it was like, it was that when you had Sugar Ray Leonard and you had Roberto Duran and you had Hitman Hearns, and it's like you had all these guys,
pure fighters. Yeah.
And building up
Hogan and Andre the Giant.
Well, what's interesting and what I love about you, Brian, and I talk about this all the time, and you might not believe it, but people that watch the show know this. I feel like you are one of the most talented artists in the game currently. I feel like you're constantly becoming better. And last time we were on, we talked about this cover and how beautiful it was, and how beautiful I still think it is. And your
I think Ross Ritchie has that original art.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna call Ross tomorrow and tell him you need to figure out a way to get me that.
Yep.
And that is the thing, that your talents, you're very, very well versed in different ways of creating your art. You traditional is your, it feels like your base. You've worked with the augmented reality, the AI assisted workflow, which is kind of getting a little bit of heat initially when we first talked to you, and it feels like nowadays more than ever the AI art world is on this very interesting conversation. And I think that there's a good conversation to have in how technology is utilized by artists these days. And you're on the forefront of that. And there's ways that we can kind of course correct this train and utilize this train. But there's also a very fine line that is walked with this train. And we recently saw it with Brett Bean and his Dork book, and putting out a comment about it. And I think it's very interesting, and I would love, I kind of talked to you about it before this. I would love to know your thoughts on how to utilize that in a way that artists, where is the conversation to be had there? Is there a conversation to be had there, and where should it start?
Well, I got out over my skis a little bit with that stuff, because always my thing was like being the guy in the front. And in 2019, I was invited by the South Korean government to speak at Kokansha, which is one of their big art things. And I was talking about augmented reality. And they had the world's foremost person on AI there at the time. So this is 2019. And she was a London museum curator and showing the stuff. And it was bad Photoshop filters, And when I was using it to assist on some of those covers back in the Barbarian days, it was like, I was doing my thing and then running it through, because I figured, it's just a filter, right? Because it wasn't good. I had to do 70% of if you couldn't paint and draw, you weren't going to get anything good out of it back then. But then, because I came from it from that side, from someone who's always been a technology guy, all the slings and arrows of the, oh shit, this stuff is like, whoa, okay. I don't need to use it.
Yeah.
I can go away. I can watercolor,
Damn right.
Oh my God.
And again, one of the best in the business.
I don't need to use it. It's okay. I'm sorry. But I still believe, God, it's freaking in everything that it's like been a spice added to all our food and everything. It's like every time you go on freaking, words, you want to use the AI here? Hey, you want to use the AI? Hey, you want to use the AI? Hey. Yeah. And then there's all these things that we don't even know that we're using AI.
It's an unstoppable train, it feels like, Brian. It really does. It really does.
Yeah, again, if you're using to augment stuff, I don't think you got to still do it. It's still my philosophy for the CG stuff, for all the other stuff, but pressing a button, putting in a prompt and stuff, but all that stuff too is just, it's not like anyone's controlling that. All those people who use that stuff and do that, they're generating like 50 or 100 images to get that image, because they can't control it. They can't.
There's still a process, and I think that what's interesting, real quick on that.
And plus, who's going to want an AI drawing for them at the show? Right?
You got it.
It's like I can take a gunslinger spawn sketch. Here you go.
Brian, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that we're finding out a lot of artists are realizing that, again, there's this pendulum that swings in everything, and especially in the comic world, and what people like and what they don't like. And we're seeing that a lot of people, especially a lot of creators, are realizing that they're leaving a lot of money on the table when they don't have the ability to sell those original artworks. Like you said, buying Frank Miller original art back in the day. Think what those Frank Miller original pieces would sell. And you have artists out here who are selling their traditional covers or their traditional sketch covers for thousands upon thousands of dollars on Remark or in private sales, and they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And but art has always been about, there's different ways to create your art at the same way, in the same manner.
Well, here's part of the problem, Brian. Some people don't give a shit about the original art side of it. Is it a drawback for the AI prompt jockeys? Yes, it is. The problem is this. So Brian just showed us that beautiful watercolor piece. I mean, jaw dropping. I want that as a digital comic. I'm sure I can't afford your cover rate, but let's talk. Right? But the problem is that somebody can take something that's a fraction of what you just created by hand, a very rough drawing of that, feed it through an AI thing, and it will look just as good as that in seconds.
That's because because I often will tell artists, it's like, don't necessarily use it, but you should know what it is. You should be aware of it at least, okay? Because you have a thing that has basically been trained on billions of likes. It's gonna do something pretty, because guess what? It's been trained now for years off people pressing a button. You know, if that didn't happen, it wouldn't be where it is today. But it's been trained by the whole world. Right.
I just saw
that, what gets a like? What do you know, that kind of shit.
I just saw the other day. I think ultimately, and this is obvious for everybody out there, but that it's, people are worried that's going to take jobs away from people, and rightfully so, because I just saw the other day where
it already has
a creator / retailer out there is bragging about using AI to skip the colorist phase, and that they can just put drawings into a thing and give it training, and they don't have to pay a colorist to do work on their comics. So there's gonna always be this conversation that shows up, and throughout time, as things change, people's ideas on that are going to change. And I think that's the key, is that we keep the conversation open, and we have constructive talks about it, and what do people like out there, as well as what are the creators thinking, the artists thinking, what is in their heads. And as long as we have that open platform to talk about it, that's the important thing. And I hope that always happens. And I just want to throw that out there, because being able to talk to Brian Haberlin about this is important. I want to know what he thinks about it, because he is an expert, in my opinion, in utilizing technology, and he already has that talent in how traditional art works. I want to know what Brian Haberlin thinks, and I want to say thank you for talking about that tonight, because more importantly, I want to get into what we really should be talking about. And that is Aria, because you had just started a Kickstarter for Aria Omnibus, which has got 36 days to go, and it's killing it. And we had talked, I believe we had talked about Aria pretty heavily last time you're on, but for everybody that might not know about Aria, explain Aria to the people out there. And there's so many, again, that beautiful Michael Turner cover from back in the day, is, a lot of people already know what it is, but explain for people out there what Aria is.
Well, can I read the introduction?
Of course.
This is from the first issue, inside front cover. Okay. Sometimes I look at this world and it moves me to tears. The joy and terror and the mad, bloody drama of it all. And I wonder why they never really seem to see it. Maybe one lifetime isn't enough, or maybe it's too much. I can't say. But the truth, to be perfectly plain, is that people are looking for magic in all the wrong places. That's a quote from Kildare, our lead. But then it goes on to, somewhere around the corner, just beyond the edge of perception, lies a world you never dreamed existed. A world where creatures of ancient myth and gods long thought dead walk unnoticed along the crowded streets of Manhattan, where ladies of fairy dance lonely nights away, bathed in soft neon glare, where every shadow holds a secret and every secret has a price, where danger and wonder can be found at any turn, if you only know where to look for it.
I love it. That is
It was the
exactly-
second highest selling comic in the US when it came out.
Yep.
We beat every single DC Comics title. We only lost out to Uncanny X-Men, which was popular at the time from Marvel, but we beat everything else. And, you know, again, like we were talking about, it was that mix. It was stunning art by Jay Anacleto that no one's seen, you know, pencils.
By
like
the
this.
way, I want to say thank you to you for saying his name correctly, because I always say Jay Anacleto, so it's Jay Anacleto.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Brian Hoagland hitting on all cylinders. I think Brian is one of the most underrated writers in the business. I put him up against Neil Gaiman. I mean, he does the Neil Gaiman thing, but he does it with like more heart than Neil does. You know, there's something a little more.
I love that.
I don't know, not as happy.
I love
think,
that. Yeah.
And so she's basically the going back to the original part of it was, you know, all those things that we know about legend and magic were all real. That all was really going on. There was magic, there were fairies, there were elves, there were all these kind of things, right? But then humans came along and we started breeding like rats. And the magic powers that be basically was saying, listen, we either got to eradicate them or figure out something else. And they decided to bifurcate the worlds. So the magic world is separate from our world. And Kildare, who's hundreds of years old, her job, though she would smack me in the face for saying that she has a job, is technically to monitor if something comes through that shouldn't be here, you know, or if
Love
something
that.
manifests here that shouldn't be here either,
Yeah.
and have to deal with that. And basically, Brian Hoagland, when we first were talking about doing the character, the property, was the initial idea was we want to do our Doctor Strange, you know, but with more of a realistic kind of urban edge to it. And it was funny because when we were at lunch, this is from 1998. This was the very first when we were talking about my ballpoint pen sketch
Oh, I
of
love
Kildare and the pug. And it was when Kildare was going to be a guy. And then we made Kildare into a woman. And of course, got somebody who could do sequential art at the time, which I couldn't do a book back then yet. So
How is the pressure in that era where almost every independent was a strong woman, right? If you looked at the Wizard top 10, it was always 8 out of 10 were strong women.
Lady
in sales.
Death,
Was
Gen
there
13,
pressure to
Witchblade.
make this character better than all those other characters at the time?
No, there was just pressure to do your best, which is always
that's
the thing.
fine.
That's always my thing. Is trying to do better than I did before if I can, you know. And that was the real thing. But we had such an ace up our, and no one saw pencils like Jay Anacleto's pencils ever before, you know.
Brian,
I still prefer his stuff uncolored. When it's colored, it loses so much of its heart of the art.
You have to be someone who's cognizant of letting his pencils do the thing. Often we'll see someone that's colored him for the first time and is over rendering, and it's like, no, just tint some stuff. You know,
Brian, he put out a cover last week for Ghost Pepper that is one of the best covers of the year, in my opinion. He's got another cover coming out. It's funny that, you know, we have you on this week because just recently we had been really geeking out over the Anacleto Ghost Pepper cover, and this is the one he's got coming out next week, or it's on FOC this week, 1 in 50. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. And it's synchronicity that I love about life, and we get synchronicity happens a lot on Beyond Wednesdays, and this is a perfect example of it, where, you know, here we are talking about Jay Anacleto when just last week on the Hot 10 we're talking about his Ghost Pepper number 11, 1 in 25 variant, which is, I mean, probably it could be a cover of the year type stuff. A beautiful, amazing artist, like really good stuff.
That looks like he's channeling a little bit of Adam Hughes on that one.
Totally,
Yeah,
100%, and I love it. I love it because you can see his style in it at the same time.
And that's all, folks. That's all just pencils. That's just a little pencil nib covering all that stuff. You know, anyone else is like, okay, I'm leaving this open area. I'm going to exit in. I'm going to drop some ink in it later. Boom, 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 with a brush. He's filling that in with a little pencil. Yeah.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
How
And
many Kickstarters have you done?
This will be my third.
Your third. Do you get surprised at the numbers that you're at, or is it just natural to see?
No, of course. I mean, I'm thankful and hopeful, you know, because I really think this is going to be part of my business going forward for sure. You know, I have another book kind of teed up, you know, that I plan on doing that with, you know, but it's all about kind of, you know, I think we've done, which has bode well for us, is we've come out on time with our books that we've created through Kickstarter.
Right.
They've been very high quality because, you know, I've been a publisher and stuff for years. I know how to do spot varnish. I know how to do all those cool little bits, right? And delivering quality and extra items and stuff like that. And it seems to keep building for us, knock on wood, that it keeps doing that. Yeah, this is kind of been since about a year ago, I decided, okay, we're going to start building that as at least part. But I also have, you know, the good relationship with Image, so usually things will come out there too.
And we love that.
This really helps your bottom line, man.
Sure.
We love that.
What are you taking anything away to do more Kickstarters in the future, or are you still going full bore on everything?
What do you mean?
As far as time,
is Kickstarter a goal of you? Because
right.
You know, it feels like more than ever, and you let us know, but more than ever, it feels like the favor is in the creator. It's in the creators, you know, world. It's their favor. You know, you can kind of put out your IP on these crowdfunding efforts. You can through social media and technology these days, you can kind of, you know, you don't necessarily need anybody else. You can kind of do it all on your own.
But having said that, you know, the thing I always will point to people is Kickstarter is great for the money side, right? But to have the bigger fan base, you got to get it out there to stores. You got to get it out, or I mean, one of the new books we're doing will be a webtoons. You know, you got to go where the eyeballs are too. Right. You know.
So I guess let me rephrase that, Barry. Do you see yourself doing less conventions and that type of stuff to focus on this more?
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about when you guys were talking to Milton and you were talking about the comic store as a place to meet people and stuff. And there'll be times when I think, you know, I'm way better off spending the amount of money I'm going to spend, go to this show, do this show on web ads and stuff like that, right? But then I go to a show and I remember that it's also about, this is my tribe.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
You know, these are my people. You know, it's like, I'm not, you know, there's no way I would completely stop. I mean, I've got amazing Las Vegas the end of the month, San Diego Comic-Con as usual. I'm a guest at Dragon Con for the first time. I'm doing Dimonakos's Omaha show. He's doing Omaha, Nebraska show that I'm a guest at. And then probably do something in Tokyo at the end of the year.
Hell yeah.
So have you done work in the gaming that you've been brought into Dragon Con, or are they actually bringing in?
No, they're bringing me in as a comic guest. I guess they're building that out a bit more.
Oh, there's tons of
very
people
interesting.
there,
Yeah, I've never done that show before. It's apparently pretty crazy.
Talk about con life a little bit. Talk about what that's like as an artist and a creator.
Con
life, yeah, and especially currently, how the con life is, because that's something that we talk about a lot on the channel. A lot of the hosts and people that are involved in this channel, that is their world. They spend times at cons, and it's so dynamic how things work, especially when you're looking at it from the industry side. And
well, the things that the new animal that's appearing are the high-end art ones. So I was a guest at Lake Como in 24. Earlier this year, I did the OAX show.
Oh yeah, love both of those. I'm one of my goals.
They're
is
completely
to go,
different animals.
One of my goals is to do Lake Como one year. I would love to do. It sounds like such an amazing event, and I love OAX. I love what we're seeing. We got that new thing in Vegas happening, the Collector Con from Rob over at Red Hood, and I think you're right. I think you hit it on the head. There is that new thing that's happening with this excitement in the high-end art world. It's very interesting.
Yeah. No. But again, you're not. Those are conventions that have a few hundred people attending, because they're expensive to go to, and yada yada yada. It's a completely different vibe at Baltimore Comic Con, let's say, or whatever. And I love those shows. Those I love the comic
bread and butter
shows.
Yeah, Baltimore is my favorite, man. I love that spot.
Yeah, it's a great show. I still have to get someone to invite me to Heroes one year. I haven't been to Heroes yet.
Yeah. We will clip this and make sure that they get a hold of you, because I agree.
Yep.
You should. Brian Haberlin should be at Heroes. No doubt about it.
We can message Jimmy right now.
Yeah. Heroes. That's one that on my list of that I've always wanted to do. I hear that too. That one Terrific-Con is pretty good too, as far as
in Connecticut.
Yeah,
it's very, very popular in my area. I'm only about 2 hours from it. I'm on the Jersey-New York border.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear from a lot of my customers go out there and they love it.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on like retailer? Like how to help the retailer? And the reason I asked that is because a few weeks ago we had we had Brian Polito and Nick Brucci on to talk about the Evil Ernie Kickstarter. And one of the things that was so exciting about they had really it was important to them to do a retailer level.
We have one that's not announced yet.
That's exactly what I wanted to know. Hell yeah.
Winning. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Don't say nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
I love that. That is exactly what I wanted to hear.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. How many years have you gone to San Diego Con now?
I went to the El Cortez.
Wow. Oh, okay. So, all right.
Wow.
70s.
Just a couple.
71. Yeah, 72.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That is, Jesse.
I'm the only person in the world that owns the original con promo for El Cortez San Diego.
Nice.
Only
person in the world.
Yep.
That's known.
Yep.
That's
known.
talked about.
Yeah, that's registered. Yeah.
Who did the art on it?
Known. Yep.
Oh, dude, it's so cool. He showed it the other night.
Yeah.
It was the original program. He'll go find it now, but we love seeing those. As collectors, Brian, one of the things that we love is these old collectibles, and what we're seeing now is a lot of these old programs from these old cons are so special, to the collectible world, because they're also historical. We have these historical
do those really
moments.
fun old, like Shanus brothers, Bill Shanus, and they used to do these really cool those portfolios. Those are great.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go.
Oh wow.
This is the golden.
There's no artist on it. It's just there. Yeah.
So what happens is they introduce San Diego Comic-Con in the next one.
Look at that.
That's the very first promo for San Diego Comic-Con. So I came with that promo.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I have one. I wish I had it up right now. I just moved studios. I've had up on my wall. I've had a Creation Con piece that was this Michael Golden back in the day when he was full blown Michael Golden.
Oh yeah.
With every single Marvel character and like 2 little kids in the front. It was just so incredible. I always had it up in my old studio. I have to find where it is in this new studio and put it back up. But yeah.
Now, I got to ask one more time. I know we asked it before, but I got to make sure that we input it this time. Brian Haberlin's very first published artwork. What was it in? A magazine, a comic?
It was the first Cyberforce trade, and it was the cover.
Wow.
It has hollow stuff all around the outside.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You know what, Brian? What's interesting about that is I don't understand what it is, but it feels like they lost that technology because there was stuff that was going on at Image at the time with those Top Cow homage studios, all like the early Dark Horse, or not Dark Horse,
That's because we had a great relationship with our printer. We had Collector was back then ruled printing, basically. They were Canadian. And Gabe Suro, who's no longer with us, was just great at like trying things. And, you know, and they did those die. I mean, those really, I mean, they look like this, but it's a comic cover on paper and gold.
Yeah.
Right? You remember those ones?
Yeah.
So we did those too. Yeah, we were always trying to do something new. I mean, but the thing is now with technology, like, so for the Aria Kickstarter, I now have a UV printer that will do, you know, holo cards with opaque going over the holo stuff. And, you know, it will even do, I haven't worked in anything, but if you can see this one, see how it has a full relief.
Wow. Holy cow.
That's beautiful.
So that's one of those resin printers, right?
Yeah, it's one of the UV ink printers,
Yeah.
One of the things that we follow pretty heavily over here, Brian, is the card world, the TCG world, the sports card world. And, you know, you see some innovations over there that it feels like would be very easy to pull over to comics. And one of the things that is those chromium refractor, very beautiful holographic type things that was happening in the world of comics, you know, back during that time, and those Witchblade world, the Gen 13, those chromium holofoil covers, that feels like it's gone. And I wish that they would bring that back, because that technology is so beautiful from back in the day. And like you said, you're doing some of that on this Kickstarter with some of these beautiful holographic cards, which is fantastic, that I love.
Thanks.
Beautiful stuff.
It's incredible.
So, yeah. All right. Is there anything that you're excited for, like that you're seeing that you're, you know, other than Aria and what's going on with Aria? Is there anything that is up and coming that you see?
There's that thing that I can't talk about. That'll be coming out through a major publisher.
Yeah, there you go.
Basically, I can talk about that when it gets announced. It's you know, it's exciting. It's I can say that I can't say what it is, but I can say it is full-blown balls to the wall space opera.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And captain with his superpowered group of losers and wannabes.
And what show will you be on for that? Maybe you can break it down.
As soon as I hear when they decide they want it,
and then we can break it down from there.
As soon as they decide they want to announce it.
There you go.
Yeah. Based on a character I co-created back in the 90s, coming back.
We have some questions from the chat. What about toys and collectibles? Is there anything that you collect or anything that you're into that is like your hobby?
I'm more into buying art supplies and trying new art techniques. That's my thing. That's me trying, okay, let's see a new filament for the 3D printer. Right. Let's try a new surface thing. I just bought, some new papers to try, that's that's my thing. And plus, other than that, it's like my wife has kind of put a limit on how many more things I can bring home into the house.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, welcome to life.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I mean, again, but I get to, again, come on. I mean, I hope it doesn't sound bad, but I'm kind of living the dream. I can
Oh, that's beautiful.
create my own sculptures and print them out, and
I think that's what's probably one of the most exciting things, right? Is that
Right.
we're in this world where all you need is a little bit of like, we have the innovation, you just need a little bit of like get up and go, and you can do just about anything.
I want to say I've known Brian almost 20 years now. He's one of those tables when you walk by, he's so excited about his product, and I think that's very important that it shows before you even say hi. You can see his team around him is excited, but Brian is very gung-ho about his projects, and I think that's very, very important.
Yeah.
What's the point in doing it if you can't do that?
Some of these guys you walk up and it's like, oh, okay,
it's kind of okay.
Walking. Yeah.
It's kind of okay. If you want to buy it, you can.
That's all right.
Well,
that
listen.
always gets me. I always give people shit. It's like Matt Hawkins says the same thing. It's like, how dare you sit behind the booth? You got to stand. You got to stand up.
Brian, thank you so much, because we just got done talking about that a few weeks ago. I think that is so important. Again, it circles back to what I was talking about earlier about, wanting to stop by and have you sign some books and talk to you, is that I think that it's very important still to this day for creators to be, like, if you're going to do the cons, one of the things I've learned from the best that do it the best is what you just said. Be engaging and talking to people, and be ready to engage the fans. And that's only going to create more fans for you. I think, especially like things like this, I always talk about how hopefully new creators out there will utilize things like this, like content, YouTube content, social media, and put themselves out in front of the people, because not only do we want to support the IP and Aria because we fell in love with Aria, but we want to support Brian Haberlin because we fell in love with Brian, and we respect Brian, and we like Brian,
Just so you know, I am sending a message from Brian Haberlin as a suggestion to Norm Rapman to stand up at his table. Just so you know, let Norm know to stand up at his table.
Well, listen, man, you are well on your way. I mean, Aria the Omnibus is got, it's got 36 days to go, but it's already at almost 1,000 backers.
We have a stretch goal, so I'm just saying.
So we're very close to that, you guys. 34 away from that stretch goal. Go show some love to Brian and Aria. Listen,
you will not be disappointed if you pick up this book. I guarantee it.
I think that this is absolutely gorgeous, and this is what we love. We want to support our favorite creators at the same time as supporting the hobby, and this is a perfect way to do it. So make sure you guys, if you're not catching this on live like so many of you are right now, I thank you guys, and shout out to our mods for consistently dropping the Kickstarter link. You can also find the link in the description below for this. It's got 36 days to go, and it is going to be absolutely beautiful. And we're going to bug Brian to come back as we did today. And again, Brian, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Like that's important.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's fun listening to Milton. I love Milton.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best to get both of you guys back, because you're great guests, and we appreciate what you've done for the comics industry.
Appreciate you guys helping me out. Thank you so much. It's a fun show too. You guys do a fun show.
Thank you, Brian. We'll talk to you soon, brother. Much love.
All right.
Later,
Take care,
brother.
guys.
All right,
Bye.
Yep.
One of the best, one of the OGs.
I will tell you what is so funny. So you walk to tables all the time, and people are like, oh my gosh, check out my book, check out my book. They're going through this whole game and rhythm. You walk up to Brian, he's like, oh my gosh, where's your phone? It's like, and then he's just showing you stuff that your mind just can't compute.
Get around. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand. It's amazing.
Do you know how long it took for QR codes to catch on?
Oh,
I was like a teenager when QR codes came out, and it took 20 years for QR codes to finally catch on.
I still can't get people to scan them.
Yeah. Yeah, Zenoscope used to have them on every single cover, and they finally just said, no, just forget it, you know, at this
I
point.
think there's some exciting stuff coming in that area of the hobby, and I think it's necessary. I think that you know, there's fun things that you can do with that, and I think that there's ways to do it where it feels like, you know, like it's not just a gimmick. It's something that's going to add to the experience.
Well, there's a lot of virtual. There's a lot of virtual reality pins where and cards where you scan them and the card comes to life, or the pin comes to life. And I just think that it's not the people who read comics today who would be into it. It'd be people that aren't into comics. So it's how to reach them to do it. And about the QR codes were working great when people were getting something, and something exciting happened when they went on the QR code. But people just started going, oh, here's my website. It just sends you to my website. There's nothing exciting. I don't get anything.
Great fucking point, Emmet.
It's how things are used, and people just get into, oh, it's just easier to just send them to my website. You know, I remember when they were doing, artists were putting up QR codes all over the city, and you scan them and it would take them to a secret art gallery, an address where you go, like crazy stuff like
Treasure
that
hunt.
that's what people want from taking the time to scan it. And it only takes a second.
That's a great point.
And I think the industry we're in is a little bit lagging behind as far as what the future holds in other industries.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We just have to have the patience for it to catch up.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to our supporters on this episode. You guys are amazing. Shout out to Official Music Pub and Alex Lodermeyer for the multiple gifted memberships that they dropped in the live chat. And just another reason for you guys, if you're watching this on the replay, if you get a chance, come hang out with us live. We love our live viewers. It helps this show immensely, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. So thank you so much. And shout out to our mods who have been doing such a great job of helping me out as a show host, dropping links, and you guys are amazing, and hopefully you guys know that. So all right, wow. I feel like what a great show already, but we have something pretty cool to talk about, and this is more like along the lines of, for the people who have been around, not only Beyond Wednesdays, but the old school Flipside days, and who are the OGs in this game. One of the guys who helped build not only Beyond Wednesdays in my head, but also what's for a better way of saying, the flipper game is a guy that goes by the name of Mighty Mel V. And for those of you guys that don't know, Mighty Mel V hosted a show on that went for multiple years.
Was infamous,
absolutely infamous, called Drunken Chat Son, for short, Drunken Chat. And it's just a great guy. I remember the first time I ever met Mighty Mel V or knew of Mighty Mel V was through Unpressable Defects, the original CBSI podcast, comic book speculation investing podcast, which included the one and only Big Leg, Trey Kenyon, Mighty Mel V, Koi Cakes, and Jimmy Linguini. And it was the first ever speculation podcast when it came to comic books, and it was just a fun thing. It was very interesting back in the days when this was all, you know, new, and they were just doing it over Google Hangouts, right? Shout out to Chuck, who says, spin that motherfucking wheel. Exactly, the muffin wheel, right? And Mel, through just life, you know, he found a really good job that turned into a career. He's kind of had to step back from all this, but one of the things that's amazing through all this is he's kind of still stayed in touch. And every time I go now, I try not to miss. My plan is not to miss New York Comic Con because I want to go hang out with Mel if there's any chance. And he's just a great character in this whole thing. And you know, that gets me to Emmet. Like, can you tell us a little about how the story started?
Well, it's funny. I was talking to Dennis Barger on the phone from Wonderworld, and we're talking. He goes, "Huh? He hasn't texted me in a long time." I said, "Who's that?" He goes, "Oh, give me a minute. I gotta handle this." He goes, "It's a good guy." So we hang up, and you know, about 5 minutes goes by, and he texts me. He goes, "You want to buy a collection?" I'm like, I'm always wanting to buy a collection. He goes, "It's going to be big. It's going to be, you know, sizable." I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." So he's like, "Yeah." He says, "Mighty MLV offered me his collection, but I really don't have the time or really the volition to come to New York, pick it up, you know, and take it back. So you're right there." So put us in touch. We talked. We hit it off. You know, Mel's such a really good guy that, yeah, we made a deal. I picked up half the collection. Tomorrow I go down very early in the morning and pick up the rest of the collection. I sent you some pictures, and we had a little.
I want to show this first because this is some of the fun stuff. And by the way, you guys, Mel is Mini Mel now. I'm calling him Mini Mel V because he's lost 100 pounds, and it's amazing. I saw him in last year at New York, but it feels like he's lost a little bit more weight since then. And it's amazing,
and he's done it the right way because he's really he really seems fit.
Yeah. Here we go.
Hey, welcome back. It's Emmet from Haven for Heroes. I'm here with the Mighty Mel V, man, the tastemaker for all those years.
What's going on, everybody? It's a sad day for me, but I'm glad the collection is going to a good home. Emmet came through. Haven for Heroes, you know what I'm saying? And listen, check the store out. This man is the man. He lives by his word. One of the true OGs of the comic space that still keep it true. Not about no bullshit, not about no corny shit. Keeping it real for the collectors and the readers of the industry.
Hell yeah. In here, partial part of Mel's collection, and we're going to be coming back later on in the week, finish it up, get it out of his way, and we're proud to be the ones to move it on to the collectors out there and to the community.
And that's it. That's exclusive to his store only. So it hurts me. I'm crying. I might go back and buy the shit back. I don't know.
And look for maybe in the future, before we sell it all off, we might have a live show and bring Mel on, or whatnot, or eBay Live.
I'm 100% with it. I'm 100% with everything, bro.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, man. Shout out to Mighty Mel V, one of the OGs in this community. It was good to see, man.
Yeah, he's such a great guy, man, and he really gave me a really solid deal, and you know, I think it's going to be a really nice way to launch eBay Live. So.
It was worth the copyright strike, Mel. It was worth the copyright strike.
That's he had it's probably about a little over 10,000 books.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So
hell of a collection.
Yeah.
And there are a lot like where he was buying 50 books to get the 1 in 50, and they're you know, they're still all sellable books, right? Because
Oh
he had
yeah,
such
by
good
far.
taste.
Yep.
You know, he was picking keys, so he'd get the 1 in 50 of keys. There are a good number of graded books, which I don't deal a lot in, but we will.
You do now.
We do now.
Yeah.
So they will probably all be sold online through eBay Live. Of course, I'll put it out to my customers for a week, let them get a shot at it. And, you know, it looks like I might be live with eBay within a week or two. I just got my email for my Zoom interview. So, yeah, so that'll be great. And so I told Mel I'd bring him up. I'd pay for his travel up to the shop, feed him some good dinner that we have up here, some good beers that we have up here. We've got a great brewery. 2 doors down, we have a guy who used to be the brewer at Brooklyn Browns, and now he brews in his own place called the Fox and Hare, and they have tremendous beer, like phenomenal, and and the food's pretty good too. And so we'll eat some food, drink some beers, and then we'll sell a ton of books.
Not bad. Not freaking bad. Well, so be on the lookout for that. You guys be paying attention. Make sure you're following Emmet and Haven for Heroes Comics on social media and here, and we'll keep you updated on when that's happening. There was some big news that we need to talk about. This was interesting. Marvel's Dan Buckley departs as Marvel president. Of course, Rob Liefeld celebrating in the most Rob Liefeld way. He's been talking about for a long time that Marvel has just been really fucking things up. And again, big shout out to Rob Liefeld.
Is CB next?
I hope so. I got to be honest. I'm not.
Finally, I have more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have too much trust in the Marvel people that are there now. This is where, you know,
his taste.
Yeah,
his taste is not there. He doesn't.
Yeah, so Dan Buckley gone. Big changes going on at Marvel. Hopefully, we see some positive out of this. I don't have too much thoughts on like it's gonna work. I don't trust. Like again, they're gonna have to build up some of that trust again that they've.
Well, here's the other problem, right? So he's in charge when Marvel Knights gets announced. Then they bounce him. Not Marvel Knights, sorry, Midnight.
Yeah.
Marvel Midnight. So they bounce him. Now the next guy comes in. Oh, that wasn't my idea, or it wasn't in under. So I have a lot of people that are interested in this and are really hoping it's going to be good. And it's the worry of the same kind of thing as when Didio left, the stuff that people had committed to kind of went away.
I gotta say that's surprising to me because everybody I have talked to, has brought up about this Marvel Midnight thing, that it looks stupid. It looks, like, their answer to the absolute universe is to do a horror universe, and the horror stuff doesn't even look that cool. It looks kind of cheesy to me, I love Philip Kennedy Johnson. I love some of the guys. Benjamin Piercy's a great writer. Some of these guys are great writers and everything. Of course, Jonathan Hickman, but I don't have any trust in Jonathan Hickman after the last X-Men debacle. This doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it feels like, again, they're just throwing darts. But here's the thing. I'm always willing to give it a chance. Like, let's give it a chance. A lot of comics that I never thought were going to work worked.
My problem is that they make something horror, but use none of their horror fucking characters.
Totally, bro. Totally. I'll be right back. Totally. Yeah, continue on this.
Reboot Terror Inc. or something. But so when stuff like this happens, what you're trying to figure out is, okay, where is at 24 hours ago, what was the ideology? And is the company going to change that ideology because a new guy is in, or is it going to stay the same? If it's going to stay the same, then does it matter?
Right.
But
It doesn't matter.
if they change that ideology and say this is what we're then focused on, this is the target, we're then go for demographics. We're then focus on, doing this with retail stores and doing this with online stores. Then I think that's a good way to look at it. Sometimes you need someone from completely out of the hemisphere to go in and make great changes.
Listen, Jesse, you just said something that sparked the thing in my head. You said retail stores and online stores. Why don't they make 2 different covers? Brick and mortar cover, and then we could share our covers. But an online cover for online salespeople, and so they would have their own cover that people would show up to their store to get, and then brick and mortars would have their cover to people come and get.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I always thought that they were missing out. Like all these big retailers had exclusives for toys, exclusive at Walmart, exclusive even at Walgreens, but the comic shops couldn't get a comic shop exclusive toy.
I've heard over the last couple of days some very interesting things that are coming in comics, and we're going to be talking about it on this channel more about these 2 things that I'm talking about that make me have a little bit more faith in that, Emmett. I think that there are some big IPs and some big properties out there that kind of like, not, I wouldn't say necessarily they say that they understand how the world of comics, that they have a pulse on comics, but they're willing to find people that do. And in doing so, they're setting up their, maybe their variant programs or their promotional programs with the thought patterning, and we need to talk to the people that know this. And in doing so, we're going to set it up in a way that's going to foster more growth rather than just a quick buck.
Right.
And I'm very, there's been a couple of things that I've talked to some people about in the past couple of days that I feel very positive in this world. And I think that's because the industry and movers and moneymaker movers, influencers and experiencers both understand, in my opinion, if they're smart, they know that there's this dichotomy between good storyline, good entertainment, and the collectability, and you have to play well with both. And I think there's some good
I think
stuff
they can make a
coming.
lot of money online with the online sellers. They teamed up with the online sellers. They can make a lot of money there, but to grow and the people who will go online and buy books, they need to help a lot of retail stores need help to drive traffic into the store to get people to begin the hobby of collecting.
Well, you know what I think is still the key? The key is, to me, is nostalgia. I really think that's the key. I think we play heavy on nostalgia. I saw this the other day where, the Pizza Hut CEO is saying we're going to bring back the Pizza Hut we remember, and that is nostalgia. And if I can walk into a Pizza Hut and I see arcade games and the old school, like if it's something that, even if the smell reminds me of being a kid, and the Pizza Hut that I remember, like that's going to cause me to I want to go back there. Like if they can key in on that, that's what I want to see. And I think it's a very important thing. It's built inside all of us to love the things when we were, when life was the best. And most of the times that's when we had no responsibilities and we were innocent and we were kids, and the nostalgia that we have for that time period. And if you can play off that and do it in a cool way, man, it's just like the sky's the limit. And this works well for Jesse because, as Lord of Brooklyn says, Sizzler is next, baby. Let's bring the Sizzler back.
250 new stores in the next 4 years.
I couldn't imagine eating at an open air buffet as an adult anymore. Like, ugh.
Oh my gosh.
Gross.
Where's his mute button? Take him
Those-
off
those-
the screen.
those little
I
tiny
cannot
shrimps, like
believe
the-
this. We
the
have
little
an
shrimp-
anti-sizzler
Popcorn
guy
shrimp?
on this.
Yeah.
How did
The
you
little
get on this
popcorn,
show?
the little popcorn shrimps that are full of shit. Like they're literally got little crap lines on them. I want to
thought
peel
you
all the
were-
breading off.
weren't you a Marine.
I'm
This
sorry
is what
about-
you're talking about. This is what you're talking about.
God,
You're
I struck a
saying they're
nerve over
killing the
here.
shit out of
God
shrimp.
damn, man! I struck a nerve. I'm not
Oh,
talking
wait.
about.
Hey,
Bucky.
it's Sizzler,
Wait,
baby.
I'm
This
not-
is
I'm not
Sizzler.
crapping on Diet Pepsi. Easy
Are-
there, brand loyalty guy. Good
Are
lord.
you old enough to remember eating out of cans in the military,
yeah.
or did you always have
Yeah,
MRAs?
now I'm a 53 and
Sea rats?
sophisticated. Don't mean I have to still eat garbage. I'm a grown adult. Like, come on, man. Yeah, I eat MREs off of freaking dirt, but I'm 53 and I have money now. I have to eat like a poor fucking person. Jesus Christ.
I'm getting him an
Come on, man.
anti-sizzler hat. That's your next.
Well,
Actually,
real quick,
I'm gonna get him a Sizzler Christmas sweater.
I want
for
to.
his sweater wear.
This
There
gives
you
me a
go.
perfect opportunity to ask the three retailers about a new IP that's coming out. What are your guys' thoughts on that new M1 Jay Lee series that's coming out, which I think is very interesting. I recently saw this where, this
Whoa.
Corvette driver, a racing driver, used a nostalgic, scout speeder biker from Star Wars helmet. And the racing thing is bigger than it's ever been. And we have this new Jay
F1
Lee.
is huge.
Yeah, the F1 is huge. We have this new Jay Lee M1 a series that's coming out that we're seeing a lot about. M1 Monster Racing League from Image, which is very interesting. And this could be something very big for retailers. I would love to know each of your thoughts on this. And is this something that you are looking maybe about ordering for your store?
I
Emmet?
always order independent books,
Right.
to try them out. I don't go super heavy, but I do buy them. I have a lot of F1 people, but I don't see them crossing over into comic books. They buy die cast and they buy cards.
Yeah. It's very interesting that you said that. I actually have a very huge NASCAR section in my store. Keep in mind, I'm 22 miles from Daytona. So it makes sense. But now that I think about it, everybody that's bought a die cast from me has never bought a comic book. That is very, very interesting. We're going to try this. I think you should try everything, dip your toes into it. It only takes one person to buy one to kind of expand that look in the store. I think it's very cool to try every genre as well and show your openness in a retail store.
Sean, from your point of view, which I would love to ask you, do you have any thoughts on maybe doing a retailer exclusive with this series?
I missed the boat on a retail exclusive for this. I don't remember it really being even offered, but I wish I would have. I blindly ordered 20 copies of each one, cover A and cover B. I ordered 10 of the blanks. I think it's going to be awesome. Jay Lee is perfect for the feel for this. The interior is drawn by Jay Lee. I was sold on that. First off, that cover is awesome. That cover is awesome. And then they gave a little preview in Lunar. I'm sorry, there's a full advanced PDF in Lunar. I got to look through the whole thing. I'm actually looking through it right now. The interior looks incredible. It definitely has like a manga type anime feel to it for sure, but it's perfect for Jay Lee's art. There's some beautiful panels in there. Reminds me of the what's the artist that does in Absolute Wonder Woman and
Hayden Sherman?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Definitely reminds me of some Hayden Sherman type panel layouts, which is awesome and unique and incredible.
Yep.
And then when you get to the racing scenes, like the helmets they put on, and
when was the last time Jay Lee did interiors on a book?
I don't remember.
Right. This is going to be exciting for his fans And just
what
for
was
how
that
good
title he did in Image in the 90s?
Hell Shock.
Hell Shock. There you go.
Hell Shock. Yeah.
somebody had it in there. That's what reminded me. I can't remember shit, but somebody put Lord Brooklyn. I demand Hell Shock.
Yeah.
That was great. That was a great book.
Yeah.
The
I interviewed him 3 years ago. Let me see if I can't get him on the show next couple. When does this release? What's the release date?
Let me check. In stores June 10th.
Okay. Yeah, let me work on that.
Wait, let me show us number 1. Yeah, June 10th.
Number 1? Okay, definitely. Awesome.
Yeah. And then that last panel, oh my God. I was like, yes. And FOC has passed on this. So I feel like this is going to be a sleeper. They had a full preview in Lunar, the whole issue. I've already read it. So yeah, I spec'd hard on it. Well, hard 20 copies for me ordering blindly. But I literally just increased my order. I put in another order for some more. See what happens if I get it.
What is your Sean, what is your basic order on a number 1? Do you have a set number that you say, okay, I'm getting 10 of every number 1, or what is it?
I mean, 10's kind of it depends on who's doing the number 1. It depends on what the title is, what the art looks like. If it's Super Kitty and Flower Girl number 1, I'm ordering 0 copies.
Okay.
If it's something like this, I'm 20 in. If it's Mask from Image number 1, I'm chasing those ratios, so I'm getting 50, 60 copies of each number 1.
So
and this is having no pre-sales. This is me ordering blind, hoping I'm going to sell them live and a little bit of spec.
Right. Okay.
It's a dangerous. I don't recommend it. It's a scary game.
What about Absolute Green Lantern or Green Arrow? Because that's another big thing that I've heard people talk a lot about.
Well, it's my number 2 book of the week. In our comic book review show we did earlier today, we were live for like 3 hours talking about books today.
What was your number 1? That makes me very curious.
It was what's that horror? It was a new horror title. We're totally shocked by it. Damn it. I knew you were gonna ask me that question.
Is it the longer? Is it the long one? Fuck.
Damn it. I could just maybe.
Well,
my son read it.
For those of people that don't know, make sure you guys go to Comics Elite YouTube. Him and Kyle.
Yeah, we've been working out.
Look at that. Him and Kyle do a really good show where they, of course, go over their top books and then their bottom books. And
go to the end, bro. I want to see what my.
Yeah. Here we go.
What the hell is my number? Oh, there it is. Yeah,
of the earth.
I saw him on the table and I almost flipped through it, but I was like,
I know. I want to read it. I mean, everyone that I've ever talked to that's a fan of this series, even the grown-ass men, especially the grown-ass men, are like, it's really good. You got to talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl. Okay.
Yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl. But that's the series right here.
Yeah,
that,
of the Earth.
Yeah.
Dude, so good. So sleeper out of nowhere. It was the last book I read this week. Same with Kyle. I barely snuck it in the pile.
Did you reorder? Did you run in and see if there was any left at the?
No, they were gone. They were gone. I'll back order.
I thought I liked Green Arrow a lot, but I thought it was a little too on the nose.
You mean Black Canary? It wasn't. It was about Black Canary, really.
Yeah.
It was pretty much Black Canary number 1.
No, I thought the politics was a little too on the nose. Not that I like have I'm one of those people that don't have a problem with politics. I think they've always been in comics. My thing is that it's a snapshot of this time. It's not like something that's going to be great forever. In 10 years, everybody will look back at this book and go, yeah, okay. It's not like something that will stand the test of time.
I was surprised.
I think it's a snapshot.
Like a Hector Hammond, the version. I was like, "Where's his giant head?" Like he was normal Hector Hammond head so far, of course. But
and Merlin.
There's so many variants too. I really liked the. I liked the character of Black Canary though. Like they made her
awesome.
Kind of a down and out MMA fighter. She's doing private security.
Badass.
She's totally a badass. She's trying, and she looks like a badass. She's not just some tiny little frail girl that all of a sudden.
She's a muscle mommy.
Yeah, she's jacked. Like she looks like if Ronda Rousey was, in shape again in her prime and actually lifted. Like She
She's
looked
not as
jacked.
big.
So.
They don't have her as big as the one from Star Wars.
Oh, Carano?
Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Oh,
They have her
right.
like you're right. She's much more of a Ronda Rousey size.
Yeah. What a stupid fight too, by the way.
I
Anyway,
know.
we saw that coming. If you thought that was gonna be a real fight, you're an idiot.
The bottom line is 99% of Ronda's fights go less than a minute. So anybody who's surprised doesn't know.
I mean, come on. Gina's been out of the game for almost 2 decades.
She looked great though. She needs to add a little bit more weight. Just a little bit.
Good for her, man.
Yeah.
And she's just too sweet.
And the positiveness between the two was very refreshing because they were, usually in a fight, it's always ad hominem and attacks and shit talking. And they were very positive. Carano was very like Ronda had waited for her to reach the right weight and get in shape, and how thankful she was to her, and how Ronda did so many things in her career. And Ronda said the same thing about Gina, and it was never like shit talking. It was always very positive, and that was kind of refreshing in a weird way in the fight game, if that makes sense. So
I don't know. I would have seen Gina have more of that eye of the tiger. She was just too happy to be there. My victory is getting in the ring. I lost all this weight.
What, $2 million or something like that for that
so
fight?
Logan Paul and his brother have ruined fucking fighting.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. Here's what I've been thinking about with that damn fight is this. So you would think that somebody would give the fighters a little bit of guidance, like they do with the dudes, right? Look at what's his face. Damn it, I just forgot his name. The dude dripping blood out his face.
Diaz.
Yeah. Diaz is a dude. He's a ground fighter. Every time he got on his ground, he was like,
"Yep."
And they're like, "No, get up." And
it's
so
Nate Diaz,
that
baby.
if he would have took him down,
Stockton, bitch.
He would have won if he would have took him down. But I'm like, why is he on his feet so long? So somebody had to freaking told him, dude, you got to stay on your feet to keep it interesting. Because he would have took that guy anyway. Same thing. Ronda got in there so fast, took her down, submission. But Ronda was probably thinking, if I try to stay on my feet, I'm just going to beat the shit out of her and fuck up her face and bloody her up. Why am I going to do that to my friend? I'm just going to get her over with quick.
Good point.
Get her quick, get the payday. We're out of here. Deuces. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point.
Yeah, go get some shrimp.
At Sizzler.
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments made a good thing. You got to take this from a guy wearing a Spam hat. Everything he says with a grain of salt. No pun intended.
Hey, Spam hot dogs coming out. Yep, Spam hot dogs coming out next month.
Gross.
Yeah,
man, I'll tell you, you do a Spam hot dog with a little. You make a nice pineapple and sriracha sauce.
Oh, sriracha.
Yeah, or even taco.
You know what? I'm talking shit, and I'll be the first one to get cancer of everybody.
That's from being 30 years in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. all that COP I've ingested.
Oh man, holy shit.
That being said, did you guys get any good pickups this week? Any interesting, other than Emmet, who had the Mighty Mel V greatest pickup of the week?
Yeah, I sent you some pictures.
Okay.
But there's no reason to put them up because...
can we talk about the Universal news that just came out before we go to pickups?
Go ahead. Yeah. Explain to everybody what's going on.
Yeah. So Universal just picked up in Image Comics.
What?
Yeah. They just announced it today. And... I'm very surprised at how Universal is making this happen.
What do you mean by that? Explain what you mean by that.
We already have a distributor who does this.
Which is? Who is?
Lunar.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I understand you want to hit both markets, but retailers were very conscious to our shipping charges.
Do you think that Lunar might have done things that made Image go, maybe we want to change? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm not going to speculate on anything like that.
Okay.
I don't think we're at that point now. I'm just amazed at how fast Universal has made these decisions. Distribution for them is then be a little bit of a challenge, but this again shows that our market, our distribution hubs are moving at a very fast pace, and understand they can get anybody if they know how to talk and this is what's happened.
I can't wait to
This
have
is-
Milton on again to actually
This
deep
business
dive
is a very-
this. Yeah.
This
I don't-
business is a very volume-based business.
Yeah.
So when you have 2 distributors now, you cut your volume possibly, I don't think it's in half right away, but it's
I
going
don't
to
think
start cutting into your volume.
I don't see the big deal. More people are selling their stuff. Like the more people are selling their stuff, more stores can order it. Stores have more of an option.
Can you
That's
still
great.
order
It's a
through Lunar?
non-exclusive agreement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I
Okay,
said.
okay.
So unless
Yeah,
you
it's
get
not
a
exclusive.
universal account,
It's just like, hey, you can buy this over at Target too instead of Walmart. Cool.
So my problem with Universal was the reason I signed up to have an account there was so that I could buy, like when I was with Diamond, other stuff other than just comics, because I just don't just sell comics.
right?
That's the failure of Lunar. They haven't expanded, like it's just comics. So I got the account and then I just could not get them to sell me the other shit.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm buying the comics. What do I have to do? They said, oh, you have to pre-order. That's how you get it. You have to pre-order it. You can't buy what we have in stock. You can only pre-order. Once you're in the pre-order thing, then you can order from our stock. I
Yeah.
did that. They allocated me 0. I called somebody. I called my rep. She never answered my phone and never called me back. I sent her emails. She never contacted me back. So
Yeah.
if somebody from Universal's watching this, maybe you should talk to your customers
Right.
instead of ignoring them.
So this
Yeah,
is from real quick. I'm going to read this from
Okay,
Universal
sure.
CEO Angelo Exahakos.
Right.
I'm probably
Yeah.
saying that wrong. I apologize, Angelo.
Just
When
say
you come
Angelo.
on, you can tell me how to say your last name, and I'd appreciate that. And we'd love to have you on the show. He says this collaboration strengthens our position and creates new opportunities for retailers to connect with groundbreaking content. After nearly 3 decades with a single distributor, this is from Image. After nearly 3 decades with a single distributor, we're excited to be in a position where we can work with universal distribution alongside our distribution partners as the comics marketplace continues to evolve, says Eric Stevenson. So
Yeah.
there you go.
I think this is, we don't know if this is good. We don't know if this is bad. I'm just very surprised how fast they've been able to navigate and who else do they have coming on. I mean, you say, hey, we just got Image. Now you're talking to Boom. Now you're talking to this guy. Hey, this is what we're doing over here. So who knows if this is good or bad? I think it's very cool that we have a new company that's just not sitting there saying, well, we just got this. Try to get as many people to distribute out of your warehouse as possible.
Yep.
Yep.
If you do board
100%.
games and like a lot of gaming, good luck getting the trading cards. But if you do board game, that's always, I can order any of that if I wanted it. They also have sports cards, but
Right.
the other thing is that you can't get Upper Deck unless you're an Upper Deck dealer already. So you can't order through them unless you already are an Upper Deck Diamond dealer. And they have some weird sports cards, like companies I'd never heard of.
Well, I think
Pulse.
right.
Brian, are you familiar with Pulse? Because you did sports now, right? So they're almost like mystery boxes, kind of thing. But I don't know. I didn't buy any even to try them because they were very fucking expensive.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it, from my previous job, we had 25,000 vendors. Listen, we're talking about having to order from 3 guys now. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
There was another big story that hit recently that we talked about and last week with the mature content guidelines over at Kickstarter, where they've reversed that now, which is pretty amazing. Like, I got to be honest, this is kind of surprising. Sean, what are your thoughts on this? Because, you had talked about this in the backstage. This is a big deal.
So I stopped doing Kickstarters a long time ago. I had 2 accounts got banned through Stripe for adult content, and it was just bazonkers. There's a word of the day, bazonkers. It was just bazonkers, and no of the
I'm a
other
fan
stuff.
of fun bags.
Yeah, those were in there all. And of course, it's very upsetting because there's many other people doing that plus more and more graphic. So it's like, why did we get targeted? We fought with them to no avail. It didn't matter. And it wasn't Kickstarter, it was Stripe. So I understand when Kickstarter came out and they said, hey, look, our bad, but here's what we're trying to do. So Kickstarter basically said, you guys have been getting your Kickstarters blocked in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, when you're collecting funds. Out of nowhere, they're getting blocked. And we've been going to bat for you with Stripe, saying this is bullcrap. You can't do this to people. So their solution was, you know what? You guys keep getting screwed over. We're going to stop you from getting screwed over. So just no more adult content. Well, huge pushback, right? Then they say, you know what? This is against our F the system mentality. It's not in keeping with our ethics and morals, which is like, hey, screw the man. This is what we're going to do. So like, you know what? We're opening it back up, but just be aware, you have a huge risk of getting your whole thing blocked again, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. So they basically said, it's not us, it's Stripe. It's not Stripe, it's people above Stripe. It's not people above Stripe, it's the worldwide global institution. It's the man, right? That's pretty much what the thing said. So they basically said, do it at your own risk. I stopped doing them because I'm not playing that game. I'm not going to go through all that work, spend all this money, and then have them say, nope, you're done. Like, I can't risk my business on someone else's whim. So we do everything on the website. We do have our own way of doing stuff now. So that's basically what happened. I understand why they did it. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, your kid's going out in the rain, you want to make him wear a coat, but he doesn't want to wear a coat. It's like, do you make him wear the coat or just let him suffer and say, I'll put the coat on myself? You know what I mean? It's like, so I get why they did it, and I also get why they changed it. And I like that they were very upfront about it. And they said, look, it's not us guys, it's Stripe. It's the payment provider. I also heard Stripe is a payment provider for OF in partnership with somebody else.
That's interesting.
So
yeah.
the hypocrisy is, I don't know if that's true or not. I should probably ChatGPT it, but the hypocrisy in the world is rife.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So how much of this or not was a bottom line decision?
I don't think it was any bottom line decision. I think they legitimately were like, because they're such a small, the Bazonker covers are such a small part of Kickstarter.
Okay.
They're barely breaking 20K, maybe 30 if it's successful. Back in the day, I've had 300,000 Kickstarters. I'm not Polito where everyone is that size, right? But I was pretty proud of that. I had 3 break 6 figures. But nowadays, look on there. Kickstarters are not what they used to be. They are much smaller. Most people go there because they don't have their own platform to sell comics. They don't have their own audience. They don't have a website. They don't have functioning payment collecting system, ways to print labels. They don't have that themselves. So they go there for that service, basically.
Hey, real fast, Sean. So do you still have any part in High Impact?
Not High Impact, Double Impact, yes.
I'm sorry, Double Impact.
Yeah, it's mine. Yeah.
Oh, it is. So you own it outright.
I do. I own Double Impact.
Okay, awesome.
From the 90s?
Yeah, not the Van Damme one. The ladies with
No,
guns.
I know. Yeah, I know. I know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you buy that from the creator or
Ricky Corallo? I bought it from Ricky Corallo. Yep.
Okay.
We've published 2 issues so far. The characters are now involved in a crossover with my Merc publishing line. It's all going to be going. If I can get a reply back from Lunar, we've been accepted back into Lunar for distribution. They should all be in comic shops again by the end of the year.
Now you have to get into Universal.
I don't care. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. My whole business isn't hinging upon that. It's really for fun. You don't make any money. No one makes money on floppies. It's the weirdest thing in the world. The only one who makes money is the creators, if you pay them, the distributors, maybe a comic shop, but we know you don't make money in a comic shop on floppies,
Not
like you
on
said.
new-
I meant perfectly.
not on
You
new
know, it's a
books.
zero-sum
Yeah.
game.
Not new
And-
books. Secondary market is where the money is. That's why. Listen, I want comic shops, collectible shops, online sell everybody to be aware. Corporations now know the secret. They are coming for our money. They want to get into this secondary market bigger than shit.
Which
And
just
yeah,
like
makes me so.
just like Ticketmaster and the
Yeah.
concert sales. They're in that market. They keep a certain amount aside. Now, I'm not as conspiracy theorist as Emmet is, but something's a brewing.
Well, it makes
Yeah.
me say even more like retailers out there should be good with the secondary market and want to, you know, like make it positive when they're so against it. When
Yep.
you know,
It's different from being against it and wanting to maintain it in a sensible manner. Because the quickest way to get your lunch eaten is to be too greedy.
yes,
Right.
yes.
If
Well, I
you're
think
grabbing
what
for the thing that just hit the table, somebody's going to come up and scoop all that shit
Yeah.
you've already
Yeah,
been over.
Yeah, I think what happens is a lot of retailers think for their customers and not letting their customers think for the retailer. And I think that's where we're kind of at. I think when you see these outside sources coming in, you say, well, they understand it, they get it. I think the publishers get it and are acceptable to these outside people coming in now and saying, oh, we can accept it.
What do you mean? Like, elaborate on that, bro. You kind of lost me when you say they're making decisions for. Maybe say it again. 'cause I didn't-
So
Go.
most retailers, when we're talking about these old school retailers, they're still set in their ways of, I'm going to decide what people read. Oh, not me.
Right.
I don't decide
Wait,
what
there he
people
is.
read. Yeah, yeah.
I don't decide what they read. I bring in a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And then they'll tell you.
You
what
can't
to
hate
do.
on anybody's books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So what
But
do you
I
mean they decide what they read?
So
Like-
let me put it this way: there are stores that won't carry mystery bags, even though their customers asking for it.
I got
Oh,
you.
no! We can't carry mystery. No
I
way,
got you.
not in this store.
I don't agree with that, so you can't do
Right.
that here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my
Got
point.
That's a good point. Yeah. Cicada just said something interesting about Universal. He said, our retailer was a game shop that already had a Universal account. So adding comics has been fairly seamless. And we got our full DC discount back,
Yep.
which Lunar had annihilated.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Like
For
if you're a
period of year,
retailer,
though,
Yeah.
it's just
But
for
then
a
you just
year.
have to make your number. And with
Yeah, you gotta
absolute,
make
you're
that
making
goal
your
number.
number now.
Yeah.
It resets. If you don't hit that
Yeah.
threshold,
Yeah.
you're back to lower.
Yeah.
Just
But
like
Diamond didn't drop you to 35%. Right? You went down and then you went down and then you went down over the years if your numbers never came up. And the lowest number you would end up is 35%. Lunar went 50%, 35%. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
I think what they do is
35%
they-
sucks ass. You think you don't
Well,
make money on 50%?
they
Holy
matched
shit.
what your discount was at
Diamond.
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 So I never went to 35%.
I want to put
Well,
this out into the
I
ether.
did after the first year with Lunar.
I want to put this out into
Yeah.
the ether.
DC
I
was
would
putting out
love
shit.
I would love to have Angelo
True.
from Universal and maybe Christine from Lunar at some point separately come on the show to talk to us, because this is the type of stuff I would like to talk to them about. So Christine, Angelo, if you guys are down to come on the industry show, please, we're going to figure out a way to contact you at some point, but just know this is out in the ether. We'd love to talk to you about this. So at some point.
Yeah.
Christina. at
Yeah.
Lunar.
Yeah. Christina,
Oh,
sorry.
you know.
Yeah.
So I just pulled this number real quick. I don't know if it still matters, if it's relevant. We're talking about a $5 book with my 50% discount. If I sell it on Whatnot for full price, $4.99, I make $1.11.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's counting board and bag, everything.
Yeah.
So I spent $2.50 on the book at a discount to get $1.11.
Yeah. And that's
not
high. That's actually considered very high.
It's not
did
good,
you
though.
put freight in that?
Yeah. So
With freight. Okay.
now, and as you guys know, I'm telling the non-retailers here, the non-creatives, if you, so I spent $250 on 5 books, right? I've invested $12.50.
Yep.
If I make $1.12 or $1.11 on those books, that means I got to sell. If I sell 4 of those 5, I've made, how much money? So if you order a
maybe
stack,
$2.
Yeah.
so sometimes you may think, oh, I ordered 10 of those. I sold 7. It's so great. Did it?
Nope.
Because you've
Yeah.
made $0. And what's your time worth, right? You got to sell almost all those books to turn any profit. And then if you sold 10 books at your profit of $1.12 or $1.11, congratulations, you've made $10 and 10 cents or $11.10, right? Whatever.
If you really want to look at what Sean just said, go to a store on Monday and Tuesday and go to their new issue section and see what is left. In a nutshell, it tells you, unless you're selling 100%, it's very tough to make money on new issues.
Yeah. You and like most stores, and that's why you hear guys complain about this guy stiffed me on his pull list. There's 60 books in here. It's like, well, shame on you for letting him get to that point, but also mostly shame on that dude, because that retailer trusted you based on the rapport you built to pay for those comics. And the 1 week he puts them all back and says he's not coming in, that's when you come back in and he feels like he just lost a loyal customer. You don't feel that same loyalty to that shop. So you're just going to ban him with 60 books. That dude lost a crap ton of money. If he's lucky, maybe a book is hot and he can get a couple bucks for it, right? But that rarely happens.
Yeah.
Rarely.
In Arizona, it's very unique. We have we had a great system. I don't know if they still use it. So if a customer comes over, hey, want to open up a pull box? Did you have a pull box anyplace else? Oh yeah, I have it at XYZ. Awesome, great. Let me get your name. Let me get your info. We're immediately emailing them. Hey, I got XYZ here. Did they have anything left in their pull box? Oh, they got $120 in the pull box, right? We started to find that a percentage of people were going store to store because they couldn't pick up their pull box.
Yeah.
And there's so many stores in Arizona that allows them to do that. We're not.
I've told people, I tell people when they open up, I'll pull for 3 weeks. If you don't show up after 3 weeks, we stop pulling. After 5 weeks, we close the box.
Yeah.
You want your books, you come in and they're like, oh, I'll leave my credit card. You can charge me. No, then I'm not storing your stuff.
No. Here's a fun game. Brian, how much do you think if I ordered and sold 1 Dynamite blind bag, it's $20 retail. How much do you think I'd make on Whatnot if I sold that on Whatnot? It's a $20 book.
I don't think you'd make much money. I don't think you're going to be able to sell it for more than $20, much more than $20.
Well, if I sell it at retail, it's a $20 blind bag.
I don't think you're going to make much money because I think it's going to be hard to sell. Like if are you buying in at 20 or are you buying in at 10?
No.
So the discount they give us on blind bags and Dynamite is 40%.
Yeah.
So then $12, 13.
$12 is our buy-in cost.
So you're probably going to make $7 at the most. It's going to be very hard to sell that for 20.
After Whatnot takes their cut,
30 cents plus their cut.
Plus Whatnot's cut, plus my seller's commission. If I don't sell it myself, I make $3.62. So I'm spending $12. My cost is $12 because of 40% discount on $20 to make $3.60.
Yeah.
So sometimes people come to my Whatnot shows and they're like, "Do you have any of the blind bags?" I'm like, "Hell no, I don't have those blind bags." That's the worst deal for me. Now, even if I sell it on my website, now you can just take off. It's about a 25% more of a profit, but and you can. That's why I say websites are so important. Some people building their businesses on Whatnot only. You can't do new comics. Period. The only hope you have of doing new comics is maybe if you have a huge brick and mortar and you're using the new comics to bring people in to sell them other shit.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Like Emmet said perfectly earlier in the show.
Yep.
Or, thank you, juicers suck. what about taxes? There's all so many things I'm not even covering.
Yeah.
Right? How many books do I got to sell for $1.12 to pay my $5,200 a month rent on my building?
Yeah.
Plus internet, high speed internet, mind you, fiber.
Yep.
Two different heating systems, three different AC systems in my building. It's a lot of money, just saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a zero sum game when you're talking about these razor thin margins, thin margins. So, you know, people are like, why do you do so many exclusives? Because I need to make money to keep the store open.
Why I have a store because the margins in used are in fucking sane.
Yeah.
There's just like, so I buy a big collection and I find a diamond that nobody knew was there, right? I buy a lot of stuff, pig in a poke, as my mom used to say, which is the cat out of the bag. Have you ever heard of that? So people used to think they were buying pigs and they were cats in the bag. And when you open it up, the cats had come out, and that's how you let the cat out of the bag.
Gets out of the
That's
bag.
where that comes from. Yeah. So the thing is sometimes you open that bag and just gold falls out.
Official Music Pub says, we use new books as a way to get people into the shows and hopefully buy some of the bigger books. Everyone wants Absolute Batman, and some of our customers don't have local comic shops, so they come to us on Whatnot.
Perfect.
I think, yeah.
That's exactly what we do. Do you have Absolute Batman? Yes. Here's the weeklies, and then we're going to run the exclusives right after.
Yep.
100%.
Hey, and if you pick up number ones
on our website, if you buy the exclusive, most times we give you a weekly for free.
Oh wow.
Almost every exclusive that we're doing, my website girl has the time to put all the sets up.
The A cover.
Get the A. You can choose A, B, C, D.
Oh wow.
Most times, if you buy the ratio, you can get the cover A or B, C, or D for free. We have bundles of cover A plus, and there's so many options.
Our deal is if you buy 50 issues, I give you the ratio for free.
Oh yeah, I would do the same. I tell anybody, you want the 1 on 100? Sure. You want to buy 100 copies?
Yep. Well, like you said with Mighty Mel V, that's how Mel was doing it back with Lucas during the day when
I'll
Lucas.
I'll give you a 40% discount on those 100 copies.
Yeah, and that's what Lucas would do. He would give you the discount, and he'd say, "But you got to buy all of them to get that ratio." And that's what Mel was doing, you know, a lot of those times.
I'll give you the 1 in
20. There are
1 in
still
10.
a lot of 50 issues in the collection.
Hey, that could be good or bad, right? Depending what they are.
Yeah,
they're always they're always going to sell for $1. See,
I wish I had 50 dork number ones.
Yeah. The floor of the floor for comics for me, undamaged comics is $1. That's the floor. Like they sell all day long for $1. Books that nobody wants, they still sell. The floor is $1.
I'm like, I gotta get to your store. You're sitting on a Whatnot gold mine in that store.
Yeah. You should see it now. I just picked up. He had 56 shorts and 16 longs.
Yeah.
Plus, that's what he told me. When I get there, there's like 10 diamond boxes and 5 penguin boxes. Like there was stuff not in comic boxes that he didn't even put into the price. He gave me sports cards. He's like, I don't want these either.
Sheesh.
Yep. That's how it works sometimes, man. You know?
You did, that's great. And screw you too for that.
He got 400 dork number ones. Woo.
I'll buy them all for you at Emmet's floor.
Dollar bin.
Yeah.
Dollar bin discount.
I'll double that price. Just kidding.
Shout out to
this guy's hitting all of them.
Jay Pineapple Comics in the chat, man. Good shit.
Yeah.
All right.
So you know, it's tough. We talk about streaming and stuff, and just another quick side note. Today I just happened to turn on Whatnot, and there was a dude on there. It's called like Whatnot Success Selling Channel. It was a dude on Whatnot giving a lecture about or inspirational talk about how to sell on Whatnot. And I was like, I got into the chat and I was totally kind of being smart. So I was like, did you say your credibility for being able to give this class or to tell other people how to do it? And someone replied and they were like, we've made over 40,000 in sales and we have a successful group. And I was like, that's it? 40,000 in sales. We do that a week. And you're up here lecturing people on how to do this. I'm like, do I need to be? You know what they say? People who can do and who can't train.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you can make a ton of money, then why are you going to stand there and I don't have time to lecture people about how to sell on whatnot in the middle of the day, because I can make 4 times that money by actually selling on whatnot.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I'm saying?
The rule of thumb in corporate retail is your best salesperson is your manager all the time. Doesn't mean they have to sell because they're now getting paid, but your manager should always be the best seller. And that's
your trainer should be the best seller. Sometimes here's quick side check on that, Jesse. When I was leaving the Marine Corps recruiting duty, I did a white paper on it. It was a big thing where I was like, we're a big flaw in the sales people that you're our best salesman. Cool. You're now a manager. Maybe they suck at management skills, but they're great sellers. Now we wonder why our sales numbers are down, because you took all your best sellers and you put them in leadership positions when they're not designed for that. They're actually designed to be sellers. Let them sell, right? Don't take managers and make them sell. Now you should have a manager spend time as a seller. And if they suck, that's fine, but they get their feet wet. They're in the grime. Yep. They understand it. Just like, remember Glengarry Glen Ross?
Yeah.
When Kevin Spacey's
ABC.
Kevin Spacey's characters in the back, and they're like, who the F are you? Best sales training movie ever. Anyway.
Yeah. Just trust me, the company I come from, the manager's the best trainer, the best seller, everything, and can get on the floor and sell if they have to. My point is this. You have to be able to coach people to make your team better. You can't be the only person selling. And I'm saying this, the person who still has to ship after this show, right? So even me, I'm saying, okay, how do I do what Sean does? And Sean goes and he sells, but he also has 4 other people selling for him.
Yeah.
And if you're that's our next goal. So,
and if you're in business for yourself, try to find mentors and coaches. Don't look for cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want someone to tell you the truth.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Amen. Thanks.
Someone tell you the truth. I always tell people, they always ask, can you give me some advice? And I'm like, be careful, because I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yep.
I'll always give you advice, but I'm going to tell you the truth. If I think you're doing something stupid, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Before we call it a night and figure out what's going on with you guys over the next week, does anybody got any pickups that they want to share? Jesse, Sean, Emmet?
Yeah.
Jesse, you do?
You want to go first, Sean, or no?
No, go ahead. I just.
All right. So I have the coolest collection came in, and the guy said, if you buy my comic collection, I'm going to give you all this cool stuff. And I said, how about I buy the cool stuff and then and you give me your comic collection? So he said, okay, whatever works. And I said, well, let me buy your cool stuff. So we're going to start off with this.
Oh, cool.
That's cool shit. You see the gears move on the inside? Yeah.
All gears inside.
What's the date on that? That's gotta be.
It's 1960 something. I didn't get a chance. I'm just now checking everything in. So that was the first thing. Then, as I'm going through, I'm like, oh, check this out. And I brought this on because of the 2 military guys on here.
Yeah, U.S. Army.
That's from the 1950s.
That's cool shit.
Yeah, it's one of those, you move it back and then it shoots forward. Yeah. Metal bottom.
Holy crap.
Very cool.
You can murder someone with that thing.
Yeah. Then we got this motorcycle dude.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, they pull the cord and it zips it, pull the zip cord out of the back.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got this. Then we got this little car. It was the smallest thing in the thing. And what's funny is it's worth the most.
Because that top's still intact.
Yeah. Same thing.
That's a Lindsay, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Very good. Then we got this.
Oh, that's a Japanese. Is that Japanese tin?
Good.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good shit, man.
Yeah. Then check these out.
What?
Oh.
Is that with the rubber band powered one that made it go in the back?
Gas powered. Those are the the guy in the center that gets it going, and then
exactly. It's all gas powered. So Then,
that toy's gas powered.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you put it in
That
right
little
through here.
single
Yep.
cylinder.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So I got 5 of those, 5 different numbers. Then this was the coolest thing. So this is a sausage maker.
Now we know how the sausage is made.
Yeah, there you go.
That is cool as shit.
So it makes the sausages. That's
That's freaking so cool.
it was amazing. I'm like, I'm not even gonna look at your comics, dude. I want that stuff. So we got to the comics part and we ended up picking up, check out this.
Oh, hubba.
Yeah.
Who's that artist on that cover artist?
It's from 1987. Oh, this is our Crumb.
Crumb.
Yeah, it looked like Crumb's work, but I
place
never
that.
heard
I
of
knew it was
Hop.
Crumb.
Holy cow.
That's
So we
Crumb.
ended up picking up that.
Man, I just sold my American Splendor set.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we
there's a homage cover waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does it look like Trump to me? Look at that.
Really? I actually thought that
Oh,
that looked
yeah.
like Clinton.
Oh, it does look like Clinton.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, Clinton. Then we picked, this is cool. It's a little bit modern, but that's the hip hop.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah,
hip hop
those are-
covers. There was a
those
bunch
are
of those in Mel's collection.
Oh, those always go for big bucks.
Yeah.
Don't sell those for $1, Emmett. I'll kill you.
Ah,
And then I got to the bottom and I found a book. This is going in my private collection. I've always wanted one of this, which is bestsellers.
That's such a tough book. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
dude.
Yeah, very early Goon, first
Yep.
appearance of Monster Boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So great collection. It ended up being like 7 long boxes, 10 boxes of toys. We're still going through all the toys, cleaning them, which is always the interesting thing, and then doing research on every single item.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
that was our pickups.
Nice.
Dude, that's what's wrong with the generation. How many kids today have gasoline powered toys?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think. Yeah. None. Yeah.
Yeah, none.
Yeesh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah, I can't remember that. My God, my fucking brain. A man would stand in the center of the, and the track was round.
Yep.
And they would start these up, and they had a way to hold them.
Yeah. Oh, I actually got one. I'll show you.
Brian, I'm gonna pull up a
He would
couple-
spin around in a
Yeah,
circle,
picture thing.
and then they would time how long it took them to get around, like it was a contest.
So, Emmett, did you read Odin this week by any chance?
It's on my list to read, but I didn't get a chance to read it today.
It's interesting. It's
I
like
sold.
nothing.
A lot
Good.
of people ordered it,
Yeah,
like
we
more
sold.
than usual.
We sold out on day one of
Wow.
our table and whatnot. I ordered heavy on this.
Oh, so you
This
did
is
good.
our-
Good.
That's our exclusive by Sheldon Bucher. That's cover A, or it's cover B, the bloody eye, and then that's cover A is the white. So that's on sale tomorrow at noon on the website comics.com. You can use the code Beyond10. It's still set at 15%, I believe. Also, I didn't change it back. So that's tomorrow at noon. It was much. I didn't know what to expect. Long story short, a bunch of white supremacists. I don't know what words I can say, not say on YouTube.
No,
Bunch
you're
of white
good.
supremacists, like Nazi wannabe kids. They want to go to like the motherland, like Iceland or some shit, and they meet like a real like Nazi dude,
Yeah.
and they're being infiltrated by a reporter that's trying to report on them, and they actually go to this place, and all this crazy shit starts happening. I was not expecting the ending of this. This is probably the most craziest Tinian. It's Margaret Bennett and Tinian. It's probably the craziest, weirdest story. I was mouth open at 75% of this book going, did that really just happen? Like, oh my God, it was
Yeah.
crazy. I can't wait to read the next one. But nothing like I was expecting. And when I first started reading it, it's like, oh, they're all white supremacists. I was like, here we go. It's going to be some lectury, preachy, political book, but it wasn't at all. Nothing like that at all. It was crazy.
I love that.
Anyway.
I love that when you're just so surprised over something you thought was going to be bad, and you're like, "Wow, this is really good."
Yeah,
it happens
Does
a lot in comics.
Since it's called Odin, is there a lot of
Norse gods.
Not yet.
Norse mythos.
Not yet. They're like they worship Odin because they think it's cool. Like,
Oh, okay.
you know, like I think real Nazis were actually considered themselves Christians, like back in the day.
Yep.
So they're like total posers. And halfway through the story, one of the girls calls them out, like, we're just a bunch of stupid kids, don't know what we're talking about. We're trying to be cool, going to the white motherland, trying to be cool. So that was like refreshing because they realize they're all stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a couple surprises in it. I'm glad we did this. When you do these exclusives, guys, I didn't read the book before I did it. I thought the image looked cool, and I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. And
the 8 covers bomb.
Cover's good. If you just go in League of Comic Geeks and look at some of the variants that were done for stores for this book, there's some really good store exclusives out there. I was like, wow. I mean, we're late to the game as far as launching ours, but I like to launch mine on I'm trying to do them on actual release day. But anyway, it was very good story. Highly recommend it. Oh, it's a 9-book run. Very cool. Music Pub. Yeah. Odin. There you go. Nope. Yep.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah. Yeah, that was 616. I think we had some of those also.
Dalton.
Had nothing to do with that one.
This is Bird City.
Yeah. You can just hit the little next arrow if you want to.
It doesn't do it well with me for some reason.
Yeah, it will skip books sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it skips books.
Yeah, I noticed that too today. Like, that's pretty cool.
That's the 1 in 10.
Yeah, a lot of
and then there's different sizes too.
Christian
like
Moore,
that actually kind of happens in the story a little bit. Some of these covers, nothing happens in the story.
That's
like
beautiful.
Like that's not in the story, but it's really cool.
That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great
Jay
ratio.
Lee, 1 in 100.
Jay
Ooh.
Lee. Doesn't happen in the book, but looks cool.
There's the Fuimara. Shout out to Sebastian Fuimara. That's sick.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's
I like that.
That's Sukesha Ray. Ooh, beautiful Sukesha Ray.
I'm
Usually her
surprised.
stuff is more cartoony or anime-ish, and this
Very.
is really good for her.
I was very surprised when I saw that cover from her. I was like,
Yeah.
Shakisha Ray? I was like, really? That's a good cover.
Raymond Gay, great
Raymond Gay,
artist. He's great on Spawn. Ooh, Joel Herrera. Wow, we had Joel on a few Wednesdays ago with Josh Blaylock to talk about the Mercy Sparks and 25th anniversary of Devil's Due, and Joel Herrera is amazing.
What store was that for? Is it on top? I can't
Slabulous.
see.
Shout out to Joey over at
good for
Slabulous.
them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, Joey sent me a few.
Joe, you want to trade? Let me know.
Joey sent
I
me
love
a few
trading
of
variants.
these the other day. I was talking about him on the show, and he said, "Hey, I'd love to send you a couple," and he sent me these. So shout out
cool.
to Joey. He was one of the guys that I remember when I first started going back to cons. He was I met him, and he's always been a really cool dude. So I appreciate him. But that's a beautiful Joel Herrera. That's Wayshack. Dude, did you guys see there was a, let me see if I can find this. Look at this. There was
Hey guys, let me show these 3 items and then I gotta get out of here.
Okay.
So just real fast. So this is the other one. So it actually has
The wire.
Yeah, the wire to it. And that's what you're talking about there. So that's the wire one. And then the other, I wanted just to show you, we got Herbie in the collection.
Oh, very
That's
nice.
cool.
Yeah. Herbie Love Bug. And then the one thing that I wanted to, and then we got actually this Elvis belt from 1968.
Nice.
This actually books for quite a bit. And then this was the cool thing. They just
They
cleaned
do
it.
great with belt buckles.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That looks almost like a Hitler for a second. I was like, what is
Yeah,
that?
that's who we thought was at first. Yeah.
Not an American Jeep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at those stickers. Are those stickers on there still on there?
The Germans
Yeah.
actually rode in a
Volkswagen, right?
Volkswagen Thing.
Yeah.
A lot of them drove around in the Volkswagen Thing, which I really
By the way,
want one.
real quick, this was the Jonathan Wayshack post that he just made of a sketch cover he did. That is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that being said, you guys, real quick before we call it a night, Sean, you have the sale for the Odin coming up. Anything else coming up over the next week?
There's a huge Shikari this weekend. Can't show it at all, but if you know Shikari, you know Shikari. So huge Shikari launch this weekend. There's a Shikari Gun Honey on Friday night, shared with us in 616. Really good cover. So we got a double whammer of Shikari this weekend, 2 different Shikari variants.
Okay.
Plus exclusives all week as usual. So check the website back often. Great stuff. We're gonna have the Dungeon Crawler Carls up. The homages
Okay,
up.
guys, I gotta go. Have a good one. Thank you.
Good night, Jesse.
Okay, take care.
And
somebody keep that man away from buffets, please.
So you said you got more Dungeon Crawler Carl the trades?
No, we're putting them up. No, not the trades. I'm not gonna order more of the trades really. They're actually not even going for, you can buy them online for below cover. Like,
yeah,
it's
that's because they're
crazy.
available from Amazon, and Amazon discounts everything.
Yeah, so we can't compete with that shit.
Well, because they're working on volume. If they sell, they want to sell 30,000 and make 50 cents each.
Which I'm sure they probably sold way more than that.
By the way, Emmett, those cars, were they called tether cars?
Yes,
that's shout out to Chuck in the chat who
thank
said
you,
that.
Chuck.
Yeah,
I could thank you, man. I could not.
But no, they
remember
got
that name.
the Dungeon Crawler Carl number 0 is
free
up
comic
for
book day.
pre-sale. Like it's FOC's like in June or something, and it releases in July.
Yeah, they're doing a
Batman
regular
homage.
So you're pre-selling is that what you're going to put up? Oh,
yeah.
So you know how many to buy because you'll have, and then you'll probably buy a certain amount because it'll build.
Yeah.
The closer we get. So if you can sell 1,000 of them, you know that you can sell 1,500 or 2,000 of them.
Yeah, and there's different kinds of buyers. There's people that as soon as the cover's announced, they don't care if it comes out for 6 months. I gotta pre-order it right now.
Yeah.
Like they have to pre-order it that minute. Then there's people that only pay attention the weekend of FOCs. They wait for an FOC show.
Yep.
They pay attention there. Then there's people that only pay attention to it after FOC for some reason. And then there's the dudes that only care about it the week that comes out. And then there's people that don't hear about anything until after it already came out and everybody's already talking about it. And then they want to buy it. So there's like 4 waves of buyers. If you get early enough, you can catch each wave,
Yeah.
But the last 2 or anything after FOC is all risk. All risk.
Yeah.
Emmett, what about you? You got anything coming up over the next week?
Not over the next week. I mean, yeah, Thursday I have my interview with eBay Live.
Nice.
And then I'll have tomorrow. I get up tomorrow morning 7 a.m. so that I can get ready, get down to the city to pick up the rest of Mel's stuff, and then hopefully I can do a couple of sales. There are some. There's like 25 blank cover Battle Beasts.
Oh, cool.
In the collection. So I have had some people wanting Battle Beast #1s. These are first prints. Now, Image doesn't put the cover inside the cover, so a blank cover, there is a blank cover. There's no cover on the inside. So, but I think that there's a lot of interesting artists out there that you can have done. I think I'm gonna try to get, because he lives in my area, and Sean knows him, Baravecchia, Jonathan Marks Baravecchia.
Oh yeah.
He would do a crazy Battle Beast. So I might pay him to do a couple of those for.
He did a cover for Kyle for Seeds of Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's an incredible artist. How he doesn't get used more, I don't know, because he's not slow. He gets his work done on time. It's fine art quality. It just people, they stick with the people they know, right? A lot, I guess, and they don't go out a lot and look for people.
Yeah.
And then his style doesn't fit the superhero, the regular superhero stuff for Marvel and DC. So.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys, if you're anywhere close to Port Jervis, New York, make sure you guys stop into Haven for Heroes. Make sure
Come
you
and
guys
dig through the Mel's collection.
Yeah. Make sure you guys check out comicselite.com. Use the code Beyond10 to get, as of right now, 15% off on anything on the website. And make sure you guys go check out Jesse, who should be selling on eBay Live probably right about now. So binge bar Jesse James on eBay Live. Go check it out and enjoy yourself some comic book therapy. We'll be back tomorrow night for Wednesday night review. And we love you guys. We'll see you soon. Shout out to all our supporters. Adios.